see. Headset off and stretch her neck out. Down the rocks to her head's safe house. Yeah, I remember it all. Bleeding, shut out my calls. The air was so dusty, her armor getting rusty. She found thoughts she never had. Her young ones were just as bad.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm still here. My bad. My bad.
So, I'm going good. Yeah.
I think your microphone's muted, Fudge.
You're right.
Oh, rip. Rip.
Number two. Number
Fuck.
two. That's a second one. All right. Let's
All
start
right,
again.
well, this is going off fucking fantastic. Already whining.
Good stuff.
Whining so
Good
much.
stuff.
People are already whining. All right. Let's open the beer. All right. We're done. We're starting. You better have a beer open, guy. What are you drinking, Nama? What are you drinking today?
Probably just Zerg tears, I think.
Zerg tears. Are
Yeah.
they salty or are they sweet? Are they diabetic or something? Or are they, kind of have...
I like to think they're both sweet and salty.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know how
so
that
like
works, but
sweet and sour pork kind of deal.
yeah, that sort of thing, you know.
Mhm.
Probably go well with some nice meat.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Will?
So I'll provide the meat. I've got the Hellions.
Got the,
Yeah.
got the
Roast them drones good.
Hellions. Anyway, let's lay out how we're going to do this today, because I wasn't able to quite fit it into the thread. I'd always be about half a page. First of all, we're going to talk about HOTS. This whole episode is about Heart of the Swarm. We're looking at the end days of Heart of the Swarm right now. Legacy of the Void beta has been out, what, 6 months now, guys? 6 months? Is that right?
Oh,
it's been out for ages.
long enough.
Long
that
enough
people are
that we
starting
kind
to
of
get
had a
distracted.
taste about what's going on with it. Have you guys ever had a chance to give it a go, at least?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like to liberate things.
Yeah,
You know.
I like to liberate things too.
You
I
It's
played
quite
around
a-
with liberators and
It's quite a
Liberators are so
powerful
good, man.
unit. Like originally, they were quite nice because you could set them up and they would use each other's like
Yeah.
radius things. So you could have liberators just sort of spaced out, destroying everything. But they kind of nerfed it, I guess. Now you can only have one liberator to like its own specific target location. And I was kind of upset about that because I thought it was a unique feel for the liberator.
So do they not overlap at all?
They don't overlap anymore.
No.
Like, you can have multiple ones, like, target fire in the same area, but it's kind of pointless. You're better off just having one. So they're more of a zoning thing, I think, now. Or maybe, like, a defensive unit. Like, you just put the target location over maybe, like, a planetary or something. It just helps to defend. Or defend key locations. I don't know about offensively anymore. But who knows? I don't play a lot of Legacy of the Void.
I think the coolest thing about the Liberator is the fact that they kind of take buildings. So that kind of makes a weird offensive capability with
bullshit.
the Liberator. What do you mean?
I mean, the Liberator should be able to destroy everything, right? It's like the
yeah.
most freedom unit ever. It's literally like America encompassed into a unit. Hunting the stars for oil and spreading freedom.
That is such a great analogy. Oh my god.
It
Anyway.
even says, it's even got like, one of its, like,
I was about to... Hold on, we've already moved on to Legacy of the Void. It's a great game. I was just trying to bring it out. Hey guys, Legacy of the Void's out. But we're talking about HOTS. The big thing
one-
is we're talking about Heart of the Swarm. It's at the end. BlizzCon's coming up in November. So it's going to be played on Heart of the Swarm. Legacy of the Void is said to be set out this year. After BlizzCon, hopefully. And we're just going to look at the metagame for Heart of the Swarm right now. At least for, the end days of Heart of the Swarm. And we're looking at it now, and we're going to discuss the meta about what's happening right now. So, what do you guys think right now about the meta in terms of how you feel? Are you emotionally okay? Are you stable? Are you angry? Do you enjoy the meta? Do you dislike the meta? What's going on? Nama, what do you think?
Well, Hero keeps losing to Burrow Roaches, so I'm pretty salty at the moment.
Bro's pretty good, man.
He wins like
pretty
every
much
other
like an
game
invisible
with Burrow
blink.
Roaches. Oh. It's like he just doesn't get enough Blink Stalkers to deal with Burrow Roaches, and then just sort of dies, and it's really sad.
I personally, I rather enjoy the state of the metagame at the moment. I have my own issues, like on an individual basis, about what I can deal with, but I like how there is always a fluctuation. Like there's that rotation of builds going in and out again, and now we're sort of stuck in that next phase where Terrans were getting overly aggressive, and now it's Zerg that have kind of flipped the mantle, and they're getting more aggressive. And the same could be said about the TVP matchup. Like,
Oh my God,
we had a
guys.
lot of issues with Widow Mines.
Oh, jeez Louise. Cam, you've
God damn
ruined
it, Cam.
everything. It's all
Sorry,
over.
guys.
Oh no!
Oh.
Oh no!
Right. That's our
The
third
emergency
strike,
happened
boys.
next.
It's been 8 minutes or so, and our third strike has already happened. GG, no read.
Goodbye, time. Good luck, team.
Good work. Now I've got to set this up for like the next couple minutes.
All right, we can keep chatting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just gonna bring up the point of now we're looking at the end of HOTS. Most of the scene is kind of dominated by Koreans, as you know, people have been expecting it was going to be for a long time. And we see Kesper has really risen up to become, you know, the thing right now in Korea. And we go and look at Pro League, and it's just SKT1. It's innovation, names like that, just dominating up there. Dark is a huge Zerg name right now. I don't even know how he wins games. He's just on another level from every other Zerg out there right now. What do you guys think about this SKT1 domination in HOTS?
I think this is a result of the new coaching strategies by Exile5. I mean, since Boxer resigned as head coach of SKT, Exile5 kind of took over, and they were sort of in this stage where they weren't necessarily performing at their best. You know, Innovation left at around this time too. He was on Team Acer, and I think like now all the pieces are coming together. In comparison, most of the other squads in the Pro League lineup, SKT probably has the smallest of about 7 or 8 members. I don't know about their B team lineup. But you could imagine that those guys, they all have varying different styles. Yeah, like Dark has his own style, which is kind of uniquely catered towards a very macro-focused game. And he has one of the most mechanical Terrans in the scene to fight against, being Innovation. So they line up really well. Then you've got Dream, very aggressive TVZ player, mostly known for his macro 3cc styles and like kind of cutting corners with Banshees and shit. And I think uniquely, if you look at them all and their unique traits, they're incredible practice partners for each other. Like they cover so many varying styles. Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's just a result of excellent coaching coming from the SKT coaching staff.
A lot of really strong players too. Like if you look at the start of HOTS, right? It was Innovation was a huge name. It's, again, you said coming over from AC, he's got some foreign experience. He's dealt with creativity, hashtag, from all over the globe, right? And you've also got names like Dark, who we saw even in like early HOTS as well, showing up as a B teamer. I think at the time he was coming from Brood War, playing a few games here and there in Pro League, really showing he had some sort of potential. I think there's just a lot of talent on that team as well, from, you know, players playing against players like Rain and Pirating that were in there, you know, as practice partners when they're part of the team. Anyway, hello Cam, how are you?
Good, thank you.
What's your excuse?
I lost track of time a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
That's what happens when you do nothing but lift, am I right?
Yeah, the gains.
Bloody oath, mate.
1001, 1000. Oh shit, wineries.
Oh crap.
Buys, you know, arms with big tattoos, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of money, man. Gotta be dedicated for that.
I'm loving the new Razer headset. Look at it. It's glorious.
I know, it's just, like, look at the neon green, it's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I don't quite
really
understand that. Let's just whine about Cam's headset for about an hour. I think that would be pretty good. I can think of like 3 things, like Leprechaun
Please.
apparel, you know, shit like that.
I've copped so much shit from using mics from everything. Like, I've had to use my webcam mic for ages, and there was a problem with it where every time I would load into a Starcraft game or a replay, this loud screeching noise would start coming through it and give everyone
the one where it sounds like the computer's lifting off. Yeah.
I had that problem for ages, and then like all the sound leaks through this mic as well, so we've got that problem as well.
Well, it seems to be fine right now, so I want to hear about your thoughts. Do you watch a lot of Pro League, Cam?
Yeah, I watch Pro League and GSL and SSL and Kesper Cup pretty much all the time.
Anything else? That seems like a short list.
Well, I mean, all the Korean tournaments are on.
Yeah,
Really-
I know. I was attempting to be sarcastic. It just came off as a douchebag thing to say.
Yeah, it's alright. We gotta synergize. You know, we'll get used to it eventually.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I was just gonna ask, did you watch Pro League a couple days ago with was it yesterday even? KT and SK2 where KT just got kind of destroyed.
I think
It was
I was.
Zest winning the games, and then that's it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was,
Zest has always been the SKT sniper. Like Zest is probably easily their best player, not including Life, but Life's been kind of ever since he won BlizzCon's kind of dropped off a little bit. So I think Zest is their best player at the moment, and he plays Protoss. No offense, Nala.
Wow.
what do you reckon you can attribute to Life's decline? Is there anything that sort of springs up?
I think Life was one of those players that kind of had his own little unique style, and now people have figured it out.
Do you think
I
it's
think-
a stylistic thing or like a meta thing?
A stylistic thing. People have figured him out, and I think that's the big thing here. Because he did play different to everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't really massively standard. Like, someone like Sue, I would say, is a pretty standard Zerg mechanical player. But there's always people in StarCraft where they have their own little thing, their own little trick or whatever, and they'll come along and they'll win a tournament, and then they kind of just drop off after that. Whether it's because of people have figured them out, or maybe they got lazy and content after their win, I don't know. But I think people have just figured out Life. He's still good, though, obviously.
I kind of want to disagree with you, but I haven't seen enough Life games because they don't put him out as much as players like Zest and Flash. But every single game I watch of Life, he kind of feels like he's kind of been standardized, you know, like a KT. He's been made into a KT Zerg.
I think that would be a fair criticism as well. Like, maybe they're trying to be like, alright, maybe you should just go full standard from now on instead of having your own style, which can mess with a lot of players. And that's probably messed with his style more than anything.
Maybe Kesper's kind of thrown him off on the wrong track, or
Well, I was discussing that with my coach the other night about how sometimes, because you hear about stories about Koreans playing, 14, 16 hours a day sometimes, and it's like, is there the drawback there of like, maybe he's overworking, and now it's having a drawback on his performance or something like that? Because when he won BlizzCon, he was in Startail, but he wasn't
Probably the most relaxed team in the competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. But and then that team has hosted great players like
Bomber.
Parting Life, Bombing, Parting Life, and what their training schedule is, we don't know. But it feels like sometimes there's players that benefit a lot from working a lot, and sometimes there's players that have withdrawals or like diminishing returns when they just practice too much and they overwork themselves.
Yeah.
So
No,
kind of on
totally.
that point, we have some players that are kind of the opposite. Like, the other day I was reading about Sulky, the Zerg player who just recently kind of declared he's on a break. The Woonjin Stars coach always kind of commented on Sulky as being a really lazy player, being very talented, not being able to, put out.
Yeah, they reckon if the coaches weren't on his back all the time, that he would just stop playing. Like, he would just start browsing Reddit or whatever it is the Koreans browse.
Play XP.
Mine's
That
Reddit.
we can't really pronounce.
Play XP, yeah.
Yeah. Start watching Africa streams, probably playing Hearthstone.
But Hearthstone, some Heroes of the Storm, maybe some Brood War, who knows.
Watching all the LOL girls streaming on Africa.
Oh yeah, all the cosplay chicks.
all the
Back
you know
this
those
year.
weird streams where they just watch people eat? Have you guys
Oh,
seen
the
that
mukbang.
thing? Where
Oh,
they
the
just watch
mukbang.
people eat?
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some mukbang.
Anyway, let's get on to the next part actually. So we've kind of talked about SKT dominating everything. We kind of talked about how they have a good a range of players, very talented team, a lot of competition in Korea, especially. You guys have played on the Korean ladder. You'd kind of argue it's a bit better than North America, would you?
I think it's like my opinion's kind of not as strong as it could be, because as soon as I switched over, like, I got an AGM, and as soon as I switched over to Korea, like a week after the Swarm Host patch hit, and that just completely, that screwed me over. Like, I was losing to, like, low diamonds in mech games just because I was just like, oh god, what the hell do
It's
I
just
do? I was like,
totally
no,
different to do.
Yeah, I was like, I've got no swarm host. I got nothing, and I used swarm host in ZVP and ZVZ as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of hit me. It hit me really hard. I'm kind of close to KRGM now, but I will say that it is significantly harder than.
It still is at that point where it's just kind of above the rest of the servers. Well, I mean, we can't
Yeah.
really talk about EU too much. But
Yeah, well, I know people that can get top 50 NAGM but can't even get KRGM, like, and I think that says something about the difficulty of the server.
Yeah.
Even Diamond League players, like, you start to feel, if you switch from NA, you start to feel the heat, probably around, like, high Diamond, because they actually hit their timings compared to high NA Masters or something like that.
What do you think, Nala,
Yeah.
coming from a Protoss perspective? Do you think it's a bit difficult? More difficult in Korea? Because since
I
you're
would
the
definitely
West...
say yeah. Especially the Terrans, I think, are a lot better on Korea than they are on NA. And I think it's probably to do with that big Terran background like Bomber and Boxer and Flash and all that Korea has. So there's just like a higher number of them. And they just, I don't know, they just like practice together or something, I don't know, but they like are just so much better than on NA. Like they can actually
I think just the
multitask.
entire server, right? It's just better.
Yeah, generally.
Honestly, I think the only thing is they hit timings better. Like that was it for me. Like I'd have a lot of games where it's like you'd go up against a Diamond League player or something, and they hit their Hellbat timing right on time.
30.
But then after that, and then after that, they're kind of just like a regular Diamond player. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the biggest difference I noticed. But once you start to get to like High Masters, KRGM, then you really feel the heat. It's like, oh Jesus, even the low GMs are bloody really strong players.
Nothing to shy away from.
Yeah, definitely.
So
like,
when are
there's
we
people-
going to... No, go on, Kim.
No, that's alright. I've been talking too much.
I was just going to ask, when are we going to start whining about these maps and when
Yeah,
are
I
they going
know.
to get
I
removed?
was just about to develop a very intricate segue into that. It was concocting in my head with a mixture of a brain cells and bear. And I was just gonna make a way of, since we're already talking about the ladder, it's been a month now at least with the new maps. No, yeah, a month and a half with the new maps. Let's talk about the new maps right now while I fix the camera. You guys all have the image of Bridgehead, so let's start with Bridgehead first.
Bridgehead.
Bridgehead.
I love Bridgehead. It's my favorite map.
Oh,
Of course it is.
Alright, let's get this fixed here.
This is
It's a very
Zerg, how would
well-designed
it be
map.
one of your favourite maps?
Like, oh, back rocks. It's like, ooh, yay. Free wins for days.
Yeah.
So what's so bad about this map? What do you think, Josh? Do you like this map or you do not like this map? What's so bad about this map?
Obviously, like, the most annoying aspect of the map is the back rocks, right? Like, there are some strategies that are developed that are quite powerful against this, especially if you want to play, like, a pre-command style. I despise watching the back rocks get taken down by really fast speedling attacks and then just sort of getting flooded. In case of that, I guess, like, the mid-game on this map is very unique, mostly because there's no watchtowers, but I could imagine a lot of people complaining about, like, the third base and the low ground kind of getting sieged up from behind. If you could find yourself a nice position there and you could effectively cut off an entire expansion with, like, tanks and bunkers or something like that.
So would that be just like TVT or just like every matchup you think?
TVT, probably not so much in TVP. There's, like, very small windows for tanks in TVP, but, like, TVZ and TVT, like, that third base, just absolute abuse, you know? And then there's, like, the main ramp. It's very awkward to wall off. Like, yeah, it only takes, like, a depot and a command center, but the spacing is like, a depot and a barracks, but the spacing is very off. So sometimes, like, add-ons are exposed in weird ways, pathing is very difficult. I've had several instances where I've had to just kill the rocks and place a depot where it was, just so I could get floors and shit out of my base. It's a good map to proxy stuff on too, though, yeah? Like, Proxy Factory or 888's pretty nice to just
A lot
sort of
of
lift
the
and get over
airdrop
the rock.
things, yeah.
My only other criticism is I wish there were the giant plates near the main base. You could drop siege tanks on them like Lost Temple, and I would love life. But you can't do that, so overall it's a shit map.
That'd be great. Drop sentries up there.
Oh, sentry drops, Jesus.
I
tried
mean,
to do that in
let's
game,
start
yeah.
talking about the
Uh-huh.
the unique strategies on this map, because like you said, the biggest part of this map is the back rocks, right? So obviously Zerg, yours and I just love it. Cam, you love it, right? You love this map. You said it at the start. The biggest build that people were complaining about at the start of the season was that stupid proxy hatch right at the rocks, where you break the rocks down with the spines and you slowly advance. Is that build just gone? I haven't seen it used on the ladder that often anymore. It was a big thing, you know, a week, 2 weeks in. Pirating was losing with it, you know, in Home Story Cup, if you remember. Is that
Yeah.
gone?
Shit.
I mean, builds
I
like
think it's
that,
just-
like you send a probe over and scout it, and it's done. Like
Yeah.
it's a really coin flip build.
It
Like-
got so predictable that everyone just sort of automatically scouted there, even if they didn't suspect it. They just like scouted there because the map is so small; it doesn't really affect you just to go up a little bit and scout.
Yeah.
Same thing could be said about, I guess, against Proxy 888. Like, after Flash did it, I went on to careers straight away, and I reckon probably 1 out of 5 games I got away with it. Otherwise, the second Overlord always went to the rocks, and it always
Yeah.
scouted. So
Yeah,
salty.
even on maps like Expedition, where they proxy their barracks and then lift it into the main, like I'd always just send my second Overlord to that spot, and you get like free wins because so many people try to copy Pro League.
Yeah.
And then you send
That's-
a drone over, and you sit it under the barracks, and they can't land it. It's really funny.
Yeah.
They just leave.
Oh, that's even worse. Yes, the drone. Oh,
Oh,
my god. It's happened so many times. Oh. Oh, you make me mad.
Come down, it'll be alright. It's okay. We've got more whining to do. You're gonna be like
Cry,
the defender for the second half of this. You gotta, you know,
cry every
strength up.
time. Oh.
There's going to be a lot of terran.
there's gonna be a lot of Terran wine tonight.
It's alright, that's why we got MECH.
So, if you guys remember, you guys were talking about 888, you know, Proxy Factory, Proxy Starport, drops, banshees, stuff like that. Did you guys watch was it Hero? Or was it, I can't remember, I think it was Hero a while back now, who did Proxy Tempest on this map against Flash.
Oh,
Yep.
It was Hero, yeah?
The Ruddy build.
The Roddy build, exactly. Abusing that air choke. Do you think that also is a gambit, or is that something we might actually continue seeing maybe later on different maps where you can kind of abuse this air?
Oh yeah, it's hella strong. I guess it also depends on opener. Like, if you're going for a factory sort of style, you don't have the Marines to punish the Tempest, and then they just keep camping the big rocks next to your main base. And because of the size of the main natural, you're kind of forced to leave all your production very close to those rocks. So add-ons just get destroyed. Over time, you just get worn down. It's a kind of a build, to say the least.
Nama, have you tried that on the ladder against any Terrans?
no, I can't say I've actually tried it, but
That's
it does
the point.
sound like it's really strong on that map. That high ground
Yeah.
is just so nice.
Yeah, this map and Moonlight.
I mean, okay, we'll get onto Moonlight later. I've got some shit to say about that map. That's a bit and a half. But overall, what do we say about Bridgehead? Definitely Zerg favored? Is it still Zerg favored, you think, because of the back rocks? Was it a bit even, Josh?
I think it's down to playstyle, yeah. Like, if you want to play the map, Zerg's probably the most favored race on it. But if the Zerg kind of want to give the other races leeway, then, you know, it's all up to stylistic choices and how they bash heads in the mid-game. That
Sound
being
like you
said,
agree, Nama, do you think? It's
Yeah,
about
if you can
playstyle.
get past that sort of early mid game stuff where a lot of that Zerg like proxy hatch and bio roach stuff is really strong on that map, then it can be pretty good for the other races, but it's pretty hard to survive all that. So definitely early to mid, I'd say Zerg favored.
But you, Cam, you stayed pretty quiet after you've showed so much love for this map.
I mean, I think all these like multi-pronged attack maps have come up simply because of the swarm host nerf. Like, I think Nama's right when he says surviving these mid-game attacks is really tough, but then once they get out like their in-game army, like it's next to over for the Zerg. Templars are really good. And so is Mech.
Especially on the
Hashtag mech.
hashtag
Yeah,
Mech.
Mech's just ridiculous now.
Put that on Twitter straight away. Just hashtag Mech. No one will get it. Everyone's already complaining about it, but we'll just get it going.
Just things.
Alright, let's look at the next map. We have Dash and Terminal as the next map. I've already seen some reactions from some people. Obviously, the first thing to note about this map is the gold bases, which you can't really see too well on the stream, so I'm gonna attempt to highlight it. There's one over here, and one over there. And you also have some choke points at your third and natural. Cam, let's start with you. What are your initial thoughts when the season started? What did you think about this map?
Still kind of annoying in CVZ. Like Ling Bling floods, they can come from either direction, so you have to build like multiple spines. But 13-12 is really good against Protoss, and 15 pool is really good against Zerg on Terran. I mean, on that map. So yeah, cheese fest for Zerg, I guess. Again, because we've got no late game.
So what's the reason, well, apart from the late game reason, but is there anything map dependent that forces you into these aggressive strategies at the start?
Not necessarily map dependent. I mean, these maps that we've been discussing are good for aggressive Zerg in the early to mid game. But yeah, a lot of Zergs, like you look at in Pro League and everything, barely any Zergs are going late game. I think last night Lacira actually 2-0'd Rain or something with late game Zerg. That's the first time we've seen something like that, but even then it felt like he had a really hard time actually putting Rain down, even if he had Broodlords out versus Stalkers. Like he was still struggling to put him down.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to, there's kind of no way to zone out High Templars or anything. They can kind of just sit them in front of the army and storm away.
What about you, Nama? Do you think you love this map because of that? Just High Templars everywhere, no one can ever attack you with Storm?
Honestly, I instantly vetoed this map as soon as I saw it, because that natural is disgusting.
Yeah.
Not only do you have a massive entrance, you have a back door that doesn't even have rocks on it. What the hell?
I mean,
Like-
it's blocked off by one pylon.
No, it's 2 pylons, isn't it?
No, it's one pylon.
single
It's
pylon.
a special, like,
Whoa.
pipe that's actually... You know, you guys remember Overgrowth, right? How there's a pipes on either side that acted like a wall,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it didn't look like it? It's kind of the same thing on this map, where you can place one pylon and then there's a pipes on the other side.
Well, shows how much I've played that map then. Don't even
I
know
mean,
that.
vetoed it straight up. I mean, I don't blame you. There's a few things I want to say about it too, but apart from that, so you have no experience on it whatsoever. This entire season has just been...
Yeah, I just, like, instantly vetoed it. I am just, like, not defending anything on that map. Like, I'm not even gonna try.
Protoss hate. It's a bit odd. What about you, Josh? You've played a fair amount of this map, I've seen.
It depends how you want to play it, right? I mean, as a Terran, if you want to like bring out some cheekiness, lifting to the gold and walling off and going full Gundam Terran's kind of fun on this map. Reapers are kind of nice because of the rush distance. Things like dealing with 15 pool and stuff like that can be avoided if you just put the CC in the main and then play it out, or a CV scout. So I think those kind of strategies could alleviate to being pushing Terran in a nice position. I love tanks on this map. That's to say the least, because you can actually siege up behind the rocks, the natural. So I've had many a time where Zergs haven't really sort of broken those rocks, and I just get like 2 or 3 tanks there and shell the hatchery into oblivion. That's always sweet. And MECH. MECH is
God.
very juicy on this map. I
yeah.
mean, you get like 3 bases almost for free. You've just put like a
I mean,
depot wall
I'd
to
argue
the
you'd even
4th.
get 4, right? There's only like 3 choke points by land that entire way.
Hmm.
Probably even secure that 4th pretty easily.
Yeah, it's like 3 depots to cover the rocks where the natural, and you just kind of make a depot wall to the 4th, and then you're just kind of sitting free for a bit, let Zerg bash into you, whatever, get a 4th up, and it's almost a free win from that point, because all the Zerg's expansions are like very close past the 3 base mark, so you can just kind of march your mech around and kill shit. I've had many a tears on that map from Zergs. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think it's a very gimmicky map, and I think it's fun to play on. But at a competitive level, I could imagine there would be a lot of salt, and I totally agree with the salt. I wouldn't want to play this map on a competitive level.
No.
Well,
I don't know. I don't have it in me to lift to the gold every time I'm in a competition and be like, la, 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 la.
Gangnam Style every single goddamn time.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I have a lot to say about this map, because this is the one I wanted to talk about the most, because it's absolute shite in almost every single way. Because of 3 factors, really. Number 1, island bases. Number 2, backdoor rocks. Number 3, gold bases. Right? Those are 3 things for each race that people just hate, right? Backdoor rocks, Protoss always hate those rocks. Always. It's so difficult. Then Zerg hate island bases, because either Terran or Protoss can take it, have a lot of static defense, and Zerg ends up, you know, taking to tier 3 to do anything about it. And then you have gold bases, which pisses off Terran and Zerg. Oh, sorry, and Protoss. Zergs love that. To just punish them with a huge mineral advantage. And I think it's just kind of... It's trying to push so many aspects of what people hate into one map. You know?
It's
guys agree
good to
or not
complain
really?
about it. It's good to complain about it, but I think it brings out very interesting new gameplay, which is, for a viewer experience, very nice. But on a competitive level, people like there to be some kind of asymmetric kind of maps where it's like, you know, the metagame is sort of figured out. It's about who can play that better. They don't like the randomness that can happen that comes with a gold base being on the map and going, hang on, this guy hasn't expanded, and now I'm getting attacked, and he has this huge fucking army? Like, I don't understand. And then you go watch the replay and get incredibly, like, disturbed and salty that at the beginning of the game he took his natural as the gold, and that was why you lost, because of that small unfair advantage. But, you know, in a game as complex as StarCraft, I can't say whether or not it's a scouting issue that might make it deliberately different, or too many things. Yeah, overall, I just think that it creates very dynamic play, and I like watching games on this map. But fuck playing at a competitive level with risks
it's
involved.
very odd, you know. It's either you completely lose or you just destroy your opponent a lot of the times, I feel. Because of the unique strategies, and if they've never seen it before, you just kind of roll them over, you know?
Yeah.
So overall, would we say this is a kind of annoying map? Like, overall, you know? I mean, we've all kind of said, in terms of playing it, let's look at just playing it. Like, if we're going on the ladder, your Platinum, Diamond, Masters level, you come on. Do you like playing this map?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Depends how you want to play. There are
Yeah,
people
there-
that love this map, and then there are people that want to play like straight up games, so they're going to hate this map. But you know, it's a ladder. You queue into randomness, really.
Mm.
And that's just the luck of the draw. It's going to happen or it's not going to happen.
Like, a lot of
But-
these maps have their own advantages and disadvantages for each race. Like, none of them are kind of, oh, this is just a really good map for Zerg against Protoss, and then that's it. Like, they've all got their own little niche. Like, the third's really exposed for Protoss on Moonlight, but then Immortal All-Ins are really strong on Moonlight as well, so
Yeah.
it's really difficult to say. Just hope the Protoss doesn't Immortal All-In you, and you're good to go as the Zerg.
Then when you realize he has sentries and immortals, you just begin to tear up, and you're like, oh, it's coming, and I can't
You
stop
just
it.
cry inside.
I mean, speaking about Moonlight Madness, we'll move on to it. This map, when it was originally put on the Battle.net forums, was said to be a standard map with a twist. I've kind of understood it as a shitty map with some standardness. What do you guys think?
I'm not really sure
it's
how
not-
it's standard, to be honest.
Again,
It's-
it plays into the hands of the aggressor, right? I think it's
Yeah.
one of those maps that's much harder to be the defender on and play a very macro game unless, you know, both players kind of have a bit of a gentleman's agreement at the beginning of the game. Because, like, there's just back rocks for days. There's, like, 2 back rocks to get
Yeah.
into what you would either call your natural or your third, depending on how you want to play it out. And they're quite difficult. Like, you can't just wall off with depots because the spacing there is really awkward. You've got to have spotters. I think contesting the watchtowers on this map is probably obviously the most important key element because they literally give vision to the only attack paths leading into your expansions.
Except for the
So
back rocks.
Yeah, except for the back rocks, but again, they'd have to run past the tower to get there,
Or,
regardless.
Yeah, you're right. Or drop, you're right.
Yeah.
Drop. Personally, mutalisks on this map fucking are the bane of my existence. Because they just run around between bases and like, oh, I don't know. It's just like ground-based armies trying to chase mutas on this map. It's just stupid. Especially if you want to try and take the fourth base as like the one near the destructible rocks. That absolutely does my head in, because mutas can dart in from that strange angle, and then they go to your natural, and then if they're not in your natural, then they can go to the main, and then they can fly over and go to the third.
So mutas are a big deal. What do you think, Cam? Like, against, specifically against Terran, you already said you know, the Immortal is very strong against Protoss. Against Terran, you've just heard Mutalisks are really powerful. Are you opening 2-base Muta to get those Mutas out as fast as possible, or are you just kind of playing this out standard?
I mean, CC first builds are like really popular at the moment, so 2-base Muta is actually kind of good. 2-base Muta, especially on this map, is pretty good. Yeah, like there's just so much room, like Josh said, lots of room to move around with the Mutas. Like there's the big airspace pocket right in the back. There's a lot of fog of war as well, so you can just run around everywhere with your Mutas and the Terran can't even find it. But then the Terran also has the little the little siege tank drop on that little ledge. Like Josh wanted it. You know, he can't do it on Bridgehead, but he can do it on that map, definitely.
Yeah, we can channel our inner fantasy or Flash and get that happening.
Yeah,
That'd be
Fantasy
nice.
did that on this map, didn't he? He was kind of successful with it, wasn't he? Against,
Who did he do it against?
see, the only...
He tried to do it against Sue,
Yeah, it was
and he
Sue.
did pretty well, but eventually lost the game. He did it against a lot of EU Zergs. Snoot commented on it recently and said the best way of dealing with it was just to get more queens earlier
And a spine as well.
and a spine, and then
Yeah.
you just kind of get
Yeah.
over there and kill it. But I
Who was
can
it
see it.
who tank dropped and then built turrets and then like flew Thors over.
That was
Flash.
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Fantasy. That
and
was
Flash.
I thought, no, didn't
crazy.
Flash do it in Pro League?
Flash has
Flash
never
did
done
it
that.
first. Flash
Oh,
did
like
it first.
ages ago. But
Yeah.
he wasn't
He's
successful
still
with
the
it at
third.
all. He just got it crushed, right? He was doing it in the bottom left-hand base and then going into MECH, right?
I mean, Flash is Flash, so...
Yeah,
He loses
always
his
bet
weakness.
against Flash.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking
he's
about
really-
Mutalisks
really
right now.
great.
We have Terran dealing with Mutalisks. You have Thors and Marines that you can stim. Nama, what are you doing on here? Are you just immortaling here? Or what are you doing on this map? Is this also vetoed?
I don't veto this map.
Because he's got the warp prism.
Yay! The Wind Prism!
I think one of the things I've seen on this map is they're trying to deal with the disadvantages they have by like doing some matter stuff in the back, because there's a lot of area in that back base that you got to have vision of to defend those notices.
Yep, I agree to that. It would be one way of making Protoss have a rainy day.
Like Roach
Yeah.
Queen kind of things.
But on the
Oh,
flip
yeah.
side of that, because there's so much space, you can sort of like hide buildings in there, like Stargates and stuff, and just proxy Oracle and all that. So
Oh,
Or you get the probe and you just kind of run around the creep or just avoid the vision from the Terran and just pop a pylon right there. Proxy
you sort
2
of sneak
gate.
around.
We've seen a lot of Proxy 2 gates on here from what I remember in Home Story Cup when people were first, you know, having a look at it. Is that still a thing? I haven't seen many Proxy 2 gates on it anymore.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
it's probably one of the least builds I've seen on this map. I mean, I more or less get proxy stargated on this map out of any other strategy. I guess it's just because of where you can put the stargates. Like, there's probably like 3 or 4
Right
really good
there.
locations to put them in. But other than that, the rest of the abuse really comes through taking the middle of the map, and then they can kind of dictate to you where they're going to attack. And if you're in a late game situation, say anything past 3 bases, it's more or less like if you lose the middle of the map, you're almost guaranteed to lose a base, because you can't just keep going backwards and around as the defender. Like, there's too much surface area to cover, so you can get outmaneuvered very easily. That being said, I don't know. It's a difficult map. I've had many a weird games on it that I haven't thought were anything close to standard.
I've seen a lot of weird games on it in terms of pro games as well.
I agree.
So overall, we all agree, weird map, playable though. It's definitely playable, right?
Yeah,
You shouldn't
definitely
be
playable.
doing it all the time. Did we talk about the Immortal Sentry All-In? I don't think we talked about the Immortal Sentry All-In enough on this map.
Yeah, we briefly
I think
touched on it.
all we need to know is force field good.
Force
Yeah.
fields good. So
So
force fields are
so
good on that
many
natural.
ramps.
Yeah.
So many ramps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Like the whole map is just ramps.
God, Cloud Kingdom all over again.
Cloud Kingdom with 2 back doors.
Way
I didn't
worse
even
than
play in
Backdoor.
Ball, and I still hate Cloud Kingdom.
Well, the bet.
Proxy Tempest on this map is a bit of pain in the ass too, because they usually just put the Proxy Stargate either at the 4th or at the north or south mineral position to the natural, and that does my head in. But it's alright. Where are we? Looks like we're on to Terraform now.
I mean, I clicked back, but let's click on Terraform again. Here we go. It's all good. Terraform, my favorite map of the new map pool. What do you guys think? I really like this map as a Zerg, at least.
Terraform, really?
Yeah, man. What do you think, Cam? Do you not like this at all? I love those line of sight lockers.
Hashtag
It's
Mac.
yeah, mech. It's similar to Moonlight, where force fields are really good on it as well. If you try to attack through the middle, like 2 force fields delay that attack for like another bloody 20 seconds.
It's like one
And
on
it's
the
just-
bit on the destructible rocks. One blocks that
Is
off.
it
doesn't
1?
Yeah.
On the
One?
destructible
Pretty much.
rocks, it's 1. Yeah.
There you go. That just proves my argument even more. Yes, but and then even coming in from like either the north or south side, either is just like force field city. Like right now in the ZVP meta, it just feels like a big meta game of going Hydra Ling or going 1/1 Lings openers and stuff like that, and trying to meta game each other with openers.
Hmm.
But Terraform is definitely mech favored.
Mech.
It's not bad in ZV Bio. Like it feels just like a normal map in ZV Bio. Like there is some strong tank positions on it because of the ridiculous like amount of walls. Essentially, like the Terran has their own little bloody fortification.
It's really weird, like, I said it earlier, but I'm going to bring it up again. The line of sight blockers, I think, kind of hurt the Terran when you're playing, Marine, Marauder, Mine. Because you never know if there's Bailings on the other side going to bum rush you,
I feel like the line of sight blockers have never really done a whole heap in StarCraft. Like, there's been a few times where I've seen like they can hide probes in it, or like in Ling Bling fights, and you're trying to bait the other guy's Zergling ball into your Baneling in the line of sight blocker. But other than that, like in Bio, ZV Bio, like they've always got medevacs with them. Protoss always has the mothership core with them. Zerg in the early game can kind of get screwed over by it. But even then, they've got overlords and overseers around their place anyway, so I don't feel line of sight blockers do a whole heap in StarCraft, to be honest.
The only time I've seen it really affect anything is in PvP, where they have the early game like stalkers just running around the map doing crazy stuff, and they like micro around the blockers and all that. So, but that's just one matchup out of 9. It's not really
Yeah.
worse.
What about you,
One of the
Mr.
most
Mickey
interesting,
Boy?
one of the interesting things I like about this map is the way that the natural is, because it's on the low ground. Bunker rushing it's very nice. So things like 1111 or 888 is really good because you're not really fighting up a ramp, as there are a lot of maps in the map pool that the naturals are up ramps. Additionally, Protoss have that cheeky warp-in pylon spot from the 3rd base. That can get kind of annoying. At random times, you just have DTs coming to your base, and you're like, oh, I didn't put a pylon there, I mean a depot there or something. Didn't see it. So that's very annoying. Reapers are kind of nice in this map, so you can kind of get a lot of scouting information, but like in matchups like TVT and TVP, you can just place a pylon there. It's a little bit harder for Zergs.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You say that. I think this is probably the worst Reaper map out of the pool. Like, Moonlight Madness is pretty bad, because you can get the Lings and Queen at the bottom, so they can't jump in. But on this map, you can just put the Lings and Queens right at the top, like on the edge there, and just block it off. I think this is probably one of the worst maps, unless you get in, of course, before the Lings get there. But like 15 pool is fairly strong on this map too.
Yeah, a lot of like Queen first openers on this map is really nice. Additionally, like anything that's kind of like Lingbane or Roachbane or Roachling is very nice in this map as well because Zerg isn't attacking up a ramp. Like all the vision is there from the get-go, so bunkers and stuff aren't nearly where as effective. It's a stylistic choice again. I mean, like, I guess that's kind of where the beauty of where HOTS is at the moment is. There's so many varying styles that are kind of rotating in and out constantly that kind of metagame each other. So at the beginning of the game, you're kind of like, okay, what is my opponent more likely to do, or what is like the current meta? And then there you will find the random players on the ladder that will like do the counter to the meta.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, but I do enjoy going mech on this map. It's kind of fun. Makes for a very 45, 50-minute game sometimes, but it's doable. Just light up the map with PFs and sensor
Dude,
towers.
I
and
don't want to
to
talk about MECH for any longer than we have to, really. It's kind
it's
of
a good
like...
thing. It's a good thing they removed the Swarm host so we don't get hour-long games anymore.
Yeah.
Really good.
That unit was trash.
Yeah, those hour-long games caused by the Swarm host.
if only the Swarm host was removed... Oh, crap, hold on. What's the... I can't quite think about it. Anyway, the one map I wanted to add right here at the end is one that's already been in the map pool for a little while now. You all know it as Cactus Valley. This is more of a personal thing rather than anything. I've kind of really disliked this map ever since it's been brought into the map pool because of the natural area where it can be, the 2 chokes, or 4 chokes, one into the entrance, one on each side, and one to the entrance of the natural. What do you guys think of this map? The force fields, the tanks, stuff like that?
Just go mech every game. That's all Terran cares about anymore.
So just go for mech, or is that it? Just meching it up, making it happen, boys.
I mean,
Zerg and Protoss are irrelevant now.
Yeah.
I mean, Protoss have a really good ways of dealing with mech unless you can kind of get wrecked by the ground forces early game or you don't scout it properly. There is some very nice 2-base timings that Protoss can do on this map just because of how you were mentioning before. The sentries on this map can be kind of very annoying once they get into a certain position at the natural. Then all of a sudden you find yourself in a horrible position trying to defend. The interesting thing is about the rocks through the center of the map and breaking down those, which allow you for these additional attack paths, I find creates a very intricate play style in how this map is played out through like the mid and late game. But overall, like, you've got pretty much access to 4 bases, yeah? Like, really, really close. So sometimes Protoss have, like, the advantage in, I imagine, every matchup besides maybe PvP, where you can get to that 4-base economy and build up that Deathball army, and then you can start abusing the chokes that the map creates. I don't know, it's... Looking at it from this angle, it looks very different in how...
Yeah, it's a bit weird, right? I just kind of, was able to find a Google image.
I feel like for Zerg, it's really coin flippy for them based on spawning positions. Like in ZVT, if it's cross spawn, it's not too bad. But if you're in like the bottom left hand corner, for example, and they're in the top left hand corner, then that close third suddenly isn't a close third anymore, and you have to take the other potential fourth as a third, and then you have to take this like right over to the right.
Yeah.
Base as your fourth, and then it's like just way out of position, and it's like, yuck.
Yeah, that's why the sensor tower is so important on this map too.
Covering the natural.
The only way you're really going to get drops in that are like time effective is to like go through the sensor tower and drop. Otherwise, you've got to shift queue the drops to go all the way into the right, and then down to the bottom right, and then over to the fourth. And usually when you want to drop, you want to make something else happen, yeah? You can't just drop and do nothing, otherwise the Zergs just sort of deal with it and laugh at it, and you've just donated maybe anywhere upwards of 20 supply units. So I think, I don't know, like the biggest issue is just creep spread going north in that position and covering where the theoretical 4th base would have been to slow down the Terran march, because it's usually where it's going to come from. Because marching, if Terran is in top left and Zerg is in bottom left, marching through the center of the map, going all the way to the fourth, exposes the Terran to flanks, multiple angles of attack through 3 different chokes. And the rally time on this, with you trying to parade push, is like just ridiculously long.
Especially if you're like if Terran's in the bottom left-hand corner and Zerg's in the bottom right, you can either go into like this kind of concave upper ramp kind of deal with mass banelings, or you're kind of walking through the center all the way over to the Zerg's fourth. And it kind of feels the same when you're playing against Protoss, taking that third base, as Zerg at least. And even Terran, I guess. You're trying to punish that third base, and you're either walking up a ramp into Splash, or you're coming around the side and you're taking an extra 30 seconds for them to warp in like 8 more Stalkers.
Mm.
What about you, Nama? Do you like this map? You better like this map. This is your map,
Yeah.
man.
How could I not like this map? Like, it's so easy to defend on.
Because he likes Phoenixes too.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. I think Josh is still a bit
Protoss.
salty about that.
Fucking Phoenix. It's the dirtiest unit.
You know, I
Just-
think... go on, sorry.
Nah, nothing. It's alright.
No, man, you can shit on this map all you like. Take your filter off. Talk about this map. Why do you fucking hate this map? This piece of shit. Come on, speak up.
It's not too bad. It's just the parade pushing Terran that gives me the shits the most on this map. Like I said before, like sometimes the unlucky spawns are just really like good for parade pushing, and especially with my scenario before, they can take the closer fourth to you and turn that into a planetary, and then they've got a planetary to fall back onto as well. And it's just like,
And all their reinforcements are right on top of it, and you have to deal with planetary fortress, mines, marines and choke points, medevacs pickups, Thors attacking all this splash and AoE, and you're using Lings, Banes, and Mutas. And it's total horse shit, and we're gonna take a break right now.
yeah, the Valley of Mines, where it's just like this long bloody Grand Canyon, and it's just filled with widow mines, is like the embodiment of cancer, really. And it's just like the Terran doesn't even split; they just stim and run back and hope they get some sick widow mine shots off, and then they fall back onto the planetary and laugh. Tough times for Zerg. Tough times, man. Can't wait for Legacy.
It really is.
Look,
But
this
we're
is gonna
still
be
talking
great.
about HOTS, man. HOTS is still kind of, it's still there. We have to deal with it until after BlizzCon. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I was gonna go full Legacy, but then Baldy's like, oh guys, ACL, and I'm like, oh, damn it, better go back. Learn how to play without swarm hosts.
Well, anyway, guys, that's halfway for us. We're gonna take a 10-minute break. You guys want 10 minutes or 5 minutes? 10, 5?
5 Lewis.
5 will do?
10,
Alright, so we'll be back in 5 minutes. Grab yourself a beverage. I want someone to be drinking with me. I'm just kind of lonely drinking beer here, guys.
Oh, mate, I got water. Put hair on your chest. Don't worry about it.
Alright, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Stay tuned. We're gonna be whining about Terran for about an hour, so we'll see you there.
Whack. Whack.
Bye.
What would you say? I'd say it's time to rest. So am I still waiting for this world to stop raining? Can't find a good reason, can't find hope to believe this can't last forever. Time won't make things better.
yeah, over my head, better off dead. Whatever to you, you played the victim for so long now in this game. What I thought was true was made of fiction and I'm following the same. But if I try to make sense of this man's something, I'm not sure where I should begin. I'm falling, come on! Over my head, there's something I said. The feeling is red, I'm better off dead. Now I can't see, I think you can't be. Hypocrisy begin to get to me. Instead of my concern, what looks at me, cause I don't believe in fame. I guess you never heard of manner makers, they don't even know your name. But if I had to say goodbye to me, cause hell, I'll say my time has served me well. I'm falling, come on! Over my head, for something I said, the feeling is red, I'm better off dead. Now I can't see, I think you can't be. Hypocrisies begin to get to this game long before those who suffer more. I'm too awake for this to be a nightmare. What's with my disgrace? I lost a human race. No one plans for it to blow up in their face. Who said it was easy to put back all these pieces? Who said it was so easy to put back all these pieces? Over my head was something I said. The feeling is red, I'm better off dead. Now I can't see, I think you can't be. Hypocrisy begin to get to over my head. Better off dead. Over my head. Better off dead. What's the difference? I'm never knowing at all. When every step I take is always too small. Maybe it's just something I can't admit. But lately, I feel like I don't give a shit. Motivation, such an aggravation. Accusations, don't know how to take them. Inspiration's getting hard to fake it. Concentration, never right to break it. Situation, never what you want it to be.
Elevator
Hello,
music.
hello. Oh, what's up, guys? I didn't realize you were guys talking in bed.
Nah, it's alright, Josh was just trying to steal your spotlight, mate, and I stopped him, put him in his place.
Oh, really?
It's alright.
Do you want me to move his
Yeah.
camera into the middle? Is he the host now? Hold on, let me move
Yep.
him.
Yeah,
Hold on,
chuck it in the
fuck.
middle, man.
Okay, yeah, I'll put him in the middle. Hold on, there we go. And I'll move me over here. I guess he has to have his own name over there. Alright, Josh, you're now the host. We're all gonna attack you for the rest of the show.
Beautiful. I'm on the pinnacle now, boys. We've made it.
You're pretty much... This is it, man. You gotta defend your entire race for an hour.
For an hour.
Yeah, for an entire
Good luck,
hour.
mate.
That's alright, I got MECH. I'm used to it.
Well, I thought we should probably get our wine on, so I brought a bottle of wine here that you guys can't see. Hold on, there we go. And
Sure,
every
see it on the
time
screen,
we say the word mech, I'm going to take a sip.
Nice. Mech.
Okay, alright. Within reason, Every time the word... Well, hold on. Okay. Instead of mech, because I guess we're going to say mech a lot, we'll say every time we say the word bullshit.
Bullshit, bullshit,
Okay,
bullshit,
like,
bullshit.
can you stop, please? Come on.
Unbelievable.
I don't want to die
Let's
here.
set some
okay?
ground rules here.
I've
Yeah?
got to
the
also fill
host
up this
now.
water bottle. I'm
Ground
just going to
rules
start
are
doing
shut
that,
down.
okay? Here we go. Alright. Let's start talking about Terran, okay? First
Yeah, what
thing,
about Terran?
it's
What do
going
you
to be
got?
me and Cam for a little bit at least. We're going to be talking about TVZ, okay? What, Cam? Let's have the very, very biased opinion first. Cam, what is your opinion on TVZ right now as it stands? Who's favored? What's going on?
It depends if they go bio or mech. If they go mech, the Terran's definitely favored. If they go bio, I think the Terran's still a little bit favored, but I think ZV bio is actually the most balanced matchup out of every single one.
Bullshit, mate.
Oh, okay. So you turn to talk,
fuck.
Josh.
Alright, here we go. Alright. Okay. That's
Nice.
one. I don't want. I know you guys are gonna just fucking say bullshit all the fucking time.
Or you just
But-
did it to yourself. To
I
drink.
know. I'm fucking opening the bottle. Okay. All right.
That's bullshit, man. We won't do that to you.
I'll show you
I have
Kiwis
to.
how
I'll
to drink.
probably need to like leave halfway through just to like get some water.
No, that's bullshit. Go drink that.
Shut up. I'm not drinking for that one. Fuck you. Suck a dick. Go away. What about you, Josh? What do you think TVZ? How is it right now?
It's just a fluctuation of bullshit, really. There's so much two-base muter. There's so much.
I'm just gonna set my own rules for when I'm
Are you
drinking now. It's
fucking
done.
serious? Oh my fucking god, Josh.
What?
Oh Christ Almighty! Dropping
Silly.
frames like a mofo. Hold on. Give me a sec.
Both races are doing this really congested fucking two-base aggression against each other. Oh no, we're off.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna type it in. Josh
Picnic.
said two base aggression.
That's alright.
We're good now. We're good.
We back
Thanks, Carl.
online.
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, we're up now. I don't know when it goes up, but you know.
Oh, okay.
It's
Alright,
green.
no, we're back.
There's a little green box there, and it says
Yeah, well, it's like-
2,337, and it's going all over the place. Go on.
Right. Well, we'll continue on where I was before. Yeah, TVZ. It's like both races are doing like a lot of two-base aggression against each other for some reason. I don't know whether this was enacted because CC First was becoming more popular, and Zerg just decided that going like a fast two-base aggression is a really good way of punishing CC First. Or whether it was now that Terran has sort of flipped the mantle and they're like, okay, well now we need to do damage before they go to two-base muter. So now we're doing like these marine mine drops or like these Hellion run-bys or like marine Hellion or the Hellbat timings, I guess was actually... I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, it was really just Hellbats, wasn't it? Hellbats was what brought out the two-base muter style again because Zerg wanted an option to deal with the Hellbats or the Hellbat bullshit that was coming their way and then be able to do counter-attack damage to them. And we've seen a lot of this highlighted between what was it, Hydra versus Pult.
Hydra versus
And I guess
mech.
that's just sort of developed from there. Hashtag mech. And now-
Exactly.
Now mech's sort of becoming more popular and it's getting more figured out. I mean, the Swarm Host patch has been in existence now for how many months? Like 1 or 2? Because it sort of came in before the end of last season. Made it very difficult the transition for a lot of players. So we've had maybe about 2 months of Terrans like really sort of figuring out mech. And now it's at a stage where there's like these two styles of mech. Yeah, there's like the real heavy Raven style, which was always popularized by Villo. And then there's like the newer style, which is kind of like this heavier Viking into then BCs and then maybe adding in some Banshees. And then Zerg have got like, there's 2 reactions to it. It's like they either do Roaches and delay and then try and rush Hive and go to like Queen Ultra and then try and do a timing attack. Or the next thing is like Zerg try and go Roach Hydra Viper and take trades and then try and sort of create a snowball effect in through the mid to late game. And Terran either survives with their 2 different openings where it's like you either go Hellbat Banshee Thor or you go tank Viking and play a much later conservative game until you get up to like the 7 starports or something like that.
With all the battle cruisers and shit like that.
Yeah, where you end up with something like 25 Vikings and like 10 BCs and then like this sort of hybrid tank Thor army on the ground. And then just constantly make sure you pre-split that army and then you just kill everything. I like mech.
That was much longer than what Cam said. Cam, you gotta step up, man. This is not your, like, playground. You gotta really...
Mech units, good. Zerg units, bad.
Holy shit, you can speak! Oh, goodness, I forgot. I totally forgot.
Welcome to HOTS.
Welcome to HOTS, bitches. What about you, Nama? Coming from a Protoss, how much mech do you play against?
Barely any. Mech is terrible against Protoss.
Still? I mean, I've seen it, yeah.
Always.
I guess it's mostly the
Immortals are
dealing
good.
with it.
I'll show you, Nama, next time we play some practice how good mech is against Protoss.
Oh, Christ.
I have
Okay,
a
so
secret
what...
anti-mech strat.
I've got some builds up my sleeve.
In terms of maps, changing matchups, TVZ hasn't really been very map dependent until now with the mech playstyle. So with the new mech style, what maps really favor Terran, and why is every single map terrible?
Echo.
Well, Echo's not even in the map pool
Yeah,
anymore.
it's not in
It
the
would
map
just be-
pool anymore.
It
Yeah,
would be
but it's still in
Terraform,
like
Cactus Valley, and
things.
Dash and Terminal. Probably the best maps for mech. From memory.
Cactus Valley? Yeah, I suppose Cactus Valley's pretty good for me.
Very long distance, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
It's long distance,
But,
but
like-
it's kind of like if you're playing the style to get to the ultimate Terran army, then Zerg kind of really always have difficulty, yeah.
I feel like it's better though on Cactus because it's not a limited amount of bases.
Oh.
Whereas on something like Coda, like it's very easy for the Terran to just split the map. And if you're on even bases against the Terran, like you're dead.
Some would say it's the most cost-efficient composition in the game.
I mean, when you're losing nothing for destroying an entire Zerg army, it's pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not pro yet, so...
I don't know, Zerg units are pretty bad.
Yeah, I wish, like, Terran, like, gained a unit every time Zerg lost a unit, because that's the only way mech becomes more cost-efficient.
Mech can
I
become
don't think
more
it-
cost efficient.
I don't think mech's cost efficient, I just think Zerg units are really cost efficient, you know? I think that's
But
the
that's-
problem.
That's a race trait. They were always cost-inefficient. It was just your swarming ability. That was what made Zerg
Yeah.
its characteristic style. You were the undead race of Starcraft II. You were the Flood. And unfortunately, Zerg players against SimCity and tanks just don't seem to be able to break the
Yeah, that
fortification of Terran.
flood stops very quickly.
Oh, in the chat we've got here, it says, Perlister. Perlister. Hey, do you guys know the name? Perlictor? Says that TVZ was already map dependent with Bio. Would you guys agree or disagree with that? I kind of want to disagree with that. In terms of like the other, if you're looking at it relative to other matchups, it's not as bad, right?
TVC was definitely map dependent before too. I think ages ago mech was a bit map dependent. Like
Yeah.
bases where you could get like really easy thirds or fourths, I think is what defined it. But then they started giving mech buffs like combining the upgrades and stuff like that. So going from ground mech to sky mech was as simple as building a few starports instead of factories. But I don't think that's been relevant for a long time. I think a Terran can go mech or bio on any map. It doesn't matter at this point anyway. But there are definitely maps where it's like, oh, you know, mech's stronger on this map than bio for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's more the turtling factor and getting to that 4-base economy that's really the defining point, I feel, as a Terran player for what makes mech more viable. It's kind of like you want to stop Protoss. Like I relate mech to being like the Terran death ball, like the Protoss death ball. It just turns into a lot of AoE, a lot of anti-armor based kind of units, and then the transition into the Sky units is it's quite strong. I mean, battle cruisers end up with something like, what is it, they get +2, or is it +3 base armor, and then you get the +3 base armor. So they end up with 6 armor, and then you get the +3 attack on them. And they're incredibly beefy. I mean, the only thing that can really contest the battle cruiser is the Corruptor. And the
I mean,
Corruptor
yeah.
alone is just an awful unit until like you build them in mass, and then the only way to deal with it is like literally to overpower the Sky Army with all of your Corruptors, and then morph in this like Broodlord army, and then reinforce with Infestors because
The
it's all
funniest thing about
it's all supply
Corruptors
dependent.
is they're more expensive than Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings are terrible.
Oh, you say
Oh.
Vikings are terrible, but you can micro Vikings.
I thought
Do
Terran
shit
was
with Corruptors. You're like running them
thought-
in.
I thought Terran was favored late game in TVP. Like, isn't like the Terran, the ultimate Terran army, like really hard for Protoss to stop, like EMPs and Vikings and stuff?
That's why I got Tempest, mate. I got Tempest.
Ravens hard counter them pretty hard.
Yeah, like
Really? Ravens
well,
hard counter
pretty
them?
good against Tempest
Is it just
shots.
because of the PDD?
Yeah,
Templar are
literally
pretty
idiot.
good against Ravens too, yeah? I mean, it turns into another one of those awkward dances where it's like energy versus energy, and it's
Yeah, Ghost
whoever
Viking
kind of
Raven.
whoever breaks first.
Yeah.
But generally, like
I
the
say
ultimate
marriage.
army just turns into like Terran having a like shit ton of ghosts. Maybe they get to BCs, you know, we end up looking into something like MVP versus Squirtle. But I personally don't think that mass BC Ghost is the army that you want against Protoss.
It's a bit weird, right? Because ghosts kind of suck in terms of attacking everything but zealots if they have an observer out. Right? If
Oh,
you can
yeah.
snipe
Oh,
the
they're awful.
observer, it's just kind of like, it just can't attack your units. It's like lurkers in the ground.
Yeah, they're... I don't know about lurkers in the ground. Those things are pretty good.
Yeah, Lucas
But-
are pretty good. I like Lucas.
Hell yeah, lurkers.
But ghosts are like... I don't even know how to describe them. They're like subpar DTs that kind of have an AoE spell that makes them utilizes one of their core features more inefficiently. So it's like, I'm going to EMP, but I'm still going to try and remain cloaked, and then all of a sudden you have no energy, then you can't snipe, and then Templar become a bigger issue. So like, energy consumption on ghosts and management on that is very difficult sometimes as a Terran player. And I think that's one of the defining reasons why Ghost Viking mid-late game for Terran is very difficult, because you'll try and cloak to get snipes, you'll try and cloak to get EMPs, you burn energy on cloak without having like a large stockpile of ghosts, because then it starts diminishing returns on your DPS versus the Protoss army. And then Protoss kind of just shove forward, and then, yeah, I don't know, like that micro is very difficult.
But you're still taking an efficient trade, though, right? Like, you can snipe a High Templar, run out of energy, and run away, and then you've still got a Ghost, but then they've lost a High Templar.
In
Like,
the
I
same
wish
way,
that-
you could
I-
just feedback and lose a ghost, and they still have a high tempo.
Yeah, it's like it is it is an intricate little dance between spellcasters, which kind of makes me wish Zerg had a bit of an anti-spellcaster ability. Like, people say Fungal is, but I don't think Fungal is a great anti-spellcaster ability at all. Like, you have to land like 5 of them before they actually die.
Yeah, but your anti-spellcaster ability is more or less the Viper, right? Because the biggest things you'll be abducting are the
Oof.
Colossus.
But the thing is, like, it's kind of
But
an
then you have no-
anti-spellcast. It's just a weird
As soon as High
spot.
Templars are out, Vipers are useless.
I mean, you
Yeah.
pull them, but you lose the Viper. You have to click
It's-
on it instantly.
Yeah, you can't like as soon as High Templars are out and they've got enough energy for Storm, Vipers are completely useless. If you try to abduct something, it'll just get feedbacked instantly, because that's pretty much all the Protoss has to worry about. Like, microing against Roach Hydra isn't like, you don't need a split or anything. Like, you just kind of A move. So they just have their High Templars hotkeyed, and they just either, if the Vipers are too back, they'll just storm the Roach Hydra. And if the Vipers are too close to abduct, then they feed back the Vipers, and then it's Colossus, High Templar, Stalker, or no, not Colossus, like Immortals, I think is the way to go against Roach Hydra Vipers. So it's like Immortal, Colossus, High Templar versus Roach Hydra, and that just gets fucking crushed.
That's
Okay,
like also a
bring it- hold on.
positional thing, though, yeah.
Bring it back to Terran. Because we have to, berate Josh. He's up above us right now on the stream. He has to take all the bullshit. Motherfucker. Can you guys say it so I don't have to, like, embarrass myself?
What? Hashtag
It's
nay.
better. It's better this way. No, bullshit.
Now I just look like a fucking idiot. Oh, God. What was I gonna say? We're talking about TVZ MECH, alright? What's the biggest problem in terms of playing against MECH as a Zerg? What's
The
the,
only- the only-
biggest problem?
The only times I win mech games is if the Terran moves out. If they're stupid enough to move out, they lose.
So that's the biggest thing. I think I
Yeah.
agree. What do you think, Nama? Have you watched many TVZ mech games, or you just skip them, or?
Well, TVZ Mech is like the only games you ever see anymore. I feel like Zergs are at a stage where they're just like experimenting with different compositions, trying to work out exactly how to beat that mech composition. Because a good mech player just isn't dying at all at the moment. They aren't dying to Roach-All-Ins, they aren't dying to Vipers, they aren't dying to anything. So Zergs are in this sort of experimental phase. And they haven't really got it quite yet.
I've seen this really stupid situation where a player like, I think it was Flash? No, Flash got destroyed. It was another, I think it was Bung Bung. No, not Bung Bung. The Terran guy. Byung.
Pyong.
Opened up and killed 16 or so drones with YOLO Hellions. About 4, I think it was 4 YOLO Hellions. The Queens were out of position, run in, kill a lot of drones. In a TVZ bio game, right, 2 or 3 minutes later, the bio starts to snowball, slowly taking better and better trades, and the Zerg dies in the next 5 minutes, right? I watched Byung kill 16 drones and then sit on his fucking ass for like 30 minutes building battle cruisers against the Zerg, who's now got a 8k, 6k bank and just can't deal with it whatsoever because he wasn't able to pressure it early. So how do you think in HOTS does a Zerg even attempt to deal with it when they've already taken economic damage? Is the only option not taking the economic damage? Because, in a bio game, you would die. In a mech game, should you have the opportunity to come back after losing 16 drones?
I mean, it's a
If they don't-
unit
if they don't
choice,
do-
right? Like, the reason why you can come back and do damage against a bio player is because Lings and Banelings can trade out well against bio that isn't properly microed, but they don't have the same effect against Hellions. So that's their big issue. Also against a mech player, if a mech player does damage against a Zerg player, it effectively buys them the time that they need to get up the tools needed to take a much safer third base to propel themselves into the late game. But that being said, I think one of the best ways of dealing with mech was to do that like Ling infester, like Viper style that Life was doing for a bit, right? When the Terran player wants to try and take a fourth or a fifth, and you come in with like anywhere upwards of 15 infestors and like blinding cloud and rush Lings in and then like spill out like endless amounts of infested Terrans and just keep breaking compositions like that. Because you're trading away Lings, which are relatively inefficient. The only thing you really need there is like a solid inject style to make sure you have the lava to reproduce the units. And the second thing is you're just trading out free units, being the energy coming from the infestors. So if you've got rapid fire infested Terran bound, then I think that style was one of the best ways of like at least pulling mech down and not allowing them to bank to make those big transitions, because you kind of need to have access to 8+ gas geysers.
Yeah. To get that higher
And then
tech.
Life just sort of stopped doing that. I don't know whether it was because it was the map that did it, because Cactus Valley was the most recent game we've seen Life play against Byung, and he went mech, and he kind of just went around, killed bases, and backed off and went to BCs. But a lot of it was choked. And every fight that I've seen Life take with his Queen Ultralisk and Fester army, they always were getting stuck. And the Queens would create this big arc, and they'd all be shooting nice and slow and transfusing whatever was in the air. But then the Ultralisk would trickle in like 3 at a time, and then die to the Thors on the ground. And then the Infestors would like neural parasite shit and pull the battle cruisers over the top of the Queen army, and then try and use the PCs to shoot each other. But then the rest of the army was still getting bottlenecked and sort of ferried around underneath this like big bulk of Queens because it wasn't in an open space. And I think those were the reasons why he lost that game. Because every fight he took was either in a choke, or the Queens were always like body blocking his Ultralisk army, and then like the Thors were able to deal with it.
I've seen that happen a lot on Terraform, where the Zerg just like attacks into mech, into a choke with Ultras, and just get completely demolished. And then everyone starts complaining about mech on Twitter, and it's like, you just attacked into a choke against the best army that can fight in a choke. It's like,
The problem
Yeah.
is that if you don't fight, then they get battle cruisers and ravens and shit, and then you're dead anyway. Like you have to force an engagement, or otherwise the Terran just gets the god tier army up that can't be beaten by Zerg. Like battle cruisers are pretty damn good.
It's hard to deal with them. It just kind of feels like the mules. The fact that you can only have about 30 SCVs mining, just all gas, right? All on the gas guys on 5-6 bases, a few on minerals, and drop down the mules for the income. Just in terms of supply and army value, the Terran's army is always bigger than the Zerg in that late game, because all the money for Zerg's already in the just sitting in the bank, and he's having 60 drones. Because what composition is going to trade so well that
60.
he doesn't need 60 drones.
More like
drones.
we need like 80 drones. To
I mean,
keep us-
you'll have 80 drones and you make 20 spore crawlers. That's the deal. You have the only anti-air for Zerg is spore crawler.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be trying to play like a very high eco game like that against mech. You really need more in the
But
army, more in the queens.
If you don't play high eco, then you're not going to have the resources to remax, because you're not going to. If you're playing against a decent mech player, you're not going to win a single fight. Like, you need to go for things like muta switches or just remaxes if your initial attack did enough damage. Like, we can't play our late game army is just as good as your late game army anymore. We can't do that. Without Swarm Host, we just can't do that, because we're just going to get crushed. We have to finish it before they get God Comp, or we pretty much lose. And especially tied with what Vodge said before about workers, they can have like 30 SCVs on gas, and then they have another 170 supply in units. And then the Zerg only has like maybe 120, 140 maybe, but then that's about it. So not only are their units better, they've got more of them as well.
I think it's too hard to
how maps
speculate. Go on.
Yeah, you know how maps like King Sejong, I remember like Yoda versus Su. Yoda went mech, and Su just made like 50 corruptors to kill the air army. How come Zergs don't do that anymore?
Broodlord Corruptor.
Yeah.
Thor's Raven Hunter Seeker Missile. Battle Cruisers are really good against. I mean, Battle Cruisers are okay against Corruptors.
Let's
Corruptors
be
are
honest.
bad against
Let's be honest.
Battle
Battle
Cruisers.
cruisers suck against corruptors. Let's be honest.
If
that's
Battle
true.
Cruisers, if they're by themselves, they suck. Yeah.
The Ravens just kind of change everything. As the Thors
Yeah, the
as
utility,
well.
the utility of the AOE is what stuffs Zerg over in so many situations. Because if you just engage with a massive amount of corruptors against battle cruisers,
360
Ravens,
surround and everything. You have the Ravens there, and
yeah, exactly.
'Cause the thing
And
I'm
it's also the fact that Zerg upgrades aren't as flexible as Terran upgrades. Yeah, like mech upgrades are just mech upgrades. That upgrades your ground army and your air army. If you're a Zerg, you have to put upgrades into ranged, melee, carapace, and then you have to put more upgrades into +1 air and +1 carapace as well. And then if you want Broodlords, you have to go get the Greater Spire and stuff like that as well. And it takes longer for us to get those upgrades, because we need to go high. We have to go spawning pool, lair. No, we go spawning pool. We get our Evo chambers, then 1-1. Then we have to get lair for 2-2. Then we need to build an infestation pit. Then we need to build a hive, and then we can get 3-3 for whatever. Whereas the Terran just needs to once they get the factory out, then their 2-2 and 3-3 can just be built straight away. There's no tier 3 building that needs to be built for Terran to get their 3-3 out, even for mech. So yeah, that's my reasoning.
Fair enough.
I feel inclined to disagree, mostly because every time I see ZVT mech games, the Zerg always has a bank, so it's kind of like, what's your excuse for not having the upgrades other than complacency?
it's more just time, right? Those things
time, yeah,
take
that was my
3
argument,
minutes
time.
each, and your Spire goes down at 10:30 if you went lair before 1-1, and then your first +1 attack finishes at 12 minutes, +2 attack finishes 14 minutes, and by the time it's 20 minutes, you've got 2-2, sure, but your opponent's at 3-3 for about 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, because think about it. For a Terran to open up the possibility to get 3-3 is 100 gas to build an armory, right? Or is it 150 gas for an armory?
100.
They're
100 gas.
Yeah,
To
100
so
gas.
to open up the
100.
possibility for 2-2 and 3-3, it's 100 gas. For Zerg to open up the possibility of 2-2 and 3-3, it's the cost of Lair, Infestation Pit, and Hive.
And the Spire as
And
well.
then the upgrades are separate. They're not together, they're separate.
I mean, or maybe it comes more down to a refinement on how Zerg want to counter mech and at what stage they want to attack the mech player then. If it's a delegation of resources and time by that point. I mean, because you see Zergs kind of juggle it up. They're like, oh, I'm going to go for this big ground-based army and go for melee upgrades because I'm going to go to Queen Ultra. And then they realize that the timing for that is completely expired, right? So then they're trying to strangle together the time and resources to go for the double Spire play and try and get the air army out in time for to try and catch onto the Terran air switch. And then that's the problem that you're talking about now, where it's like, they could go mass corruptor, but they'd be so inefficiently upgraded that they would just be like paperweights going at the Terran army at that point. So maybe
Yeah,
it's a delegation of resources.
You can't get all you can't just get all the upgrades straight away. Like imagine dumping all your gas into Lair, Infestation Pit, Hive, 1-1 for ranged melee and carapace, and then 1-1 again for air and carapace. That's going to soak up so much gas, and you're not going to have an army for ages. Sure, you might have all the like even then, like muta switches are so difficult to do as well because you need to get your upgrades for your ground army, and then you need to get the Spire and then upgrades for that as well. So you can't be upgrading everything at the same time, or otherwise you're just going to have no army. You're going to have a lot of upgrades, but you're going to have no army. Like the fact that they combined, I think now that the Swarm Host is gone, they need to re-separate ground and air upgrades.
Yeah, because that was just a reaction to the fact
Yeah,
that
it was.
Swarm Host was just so, efficient.
So
at
good
dealing.
against mech. Yeah, it was, because there was a period where Swarm Host was just crush mech. Like, mech was complete trash because of Swarm Host. But then players like Avillo started popularizing the big turtle styles and stuff like that. But I think if mech wants to be balanced, it needs to separate. It needs to be separated, because then Zerg, like Zerg is very, we're the reactionary race. We rely on seeing what the enemy's doing and then reacting to that with whatever composition we deem sufficient enough to deal with it. But if they can just do whatever, like they just put down starports and factories, like there's no discretion. It's just, I'm just going to chuck down starports and factories, build Vikings and tanks and ravens and stuff like that. Like there's no what army composition is he going for and how do I react? It's just he's going mech. And try and kill him before he gets BC.
But there are two versions of mech in TVZ. There's the heavy Raven style, or there's the high Viking tank into BC style.
Which is what I've put
And
on stream right now. Innovation does the
when-
mass Viking tank.
Mm.
And I think, obviously, versing the Raven style, infestors are really good. We've seen many a time Pig just kind of crush the style where the Terran fucks up and gets chain fungled like a lot.
Mm.
And some might call bullshit on that because I've watched like 3k worth of gas explode within 5 fungals and been very, very sad about it. But the reaction to that style compared to this style is very different from my perspective. I think tackling the heavier Viking BC style, you definitely could just go for the mass corruptor style. So maybe it's a scouting thing like that. And I think that might also be very unfair to say because it's very difficult to ascertain whether or not the Terran player is going for a heavy Raven style unless you catch it early. Right? Like you can sit there and realize that the Terran's adding on Ravens much earlier. They're not just adding tanks and PFs. So maybe that's the cue you need to look out for to start your Spire transition on time. Rather than trying to play like Roach Hydra Viper and try and land fungals. Because infestors aren't anywhere near as good versus, I think, the style that Innovation does because the tank support is too strong.
Because they
But
removed
against
the
the Raven...
armored bonus as well. The damage on the bonus.
Mm.
Oh, poor life. Look at Innovation.
The only place infestors have in ZV Mech is trying to get a fungal on the Raven Viking ball. That's pretty much it.
Alright,
Otherwise, Neural's pretty useless because the range is so short. Like whenever you try neuraling something, it'll just die to whatever's shooting. And they need to be like in front of the army to be able to neural anything, and they just, because they're already being targeted instantly because they're at the front, they kind of just die.
Alright, let's
personally
kind of sum this up because we got to talk about TVP, man.
I just want to add one quick thing.
Yeah,
There's
go
one
for
thing that I tried to suggest a long time ago on the Blizzard forums was to make Neural Parasite a projectile. Something that the Zerg spellcaster could shoot at a unit, it would latch onto the unit and then control it for a set amount of time, and then maybe you had to shoot it off. So
Like
it
a
was
skill
like
shot
something,
kind of thing, or?
yeah, like a skill shot thing. So it would be the size of like a PDT. It would attach itself onto said unit that the Zerg would shoot this projectile at it to control it, and the units would have to shoot it off in order to regain control, rather than it being this weird-ass long penis thing that attaches itself to said unit and just sits there like ejaculating into it until it dies.
I reckon that would be incredibly powerful. Like, I think that would be a bit too overpowered. You could kind of just launch neurals, run away, and then let the Terran army fight itself.
Well, wouldn't
I reckon
that be
would
a much
I
better
reckon-
use?
And like things like skill shots as well. Like adding too many spells into this game for everything has always been, I think, a bit of a bane of StarCraft, where too many spells. Like, StarCraft's always been an elegant game where things like unit damage, range, and movement speed, that's how units interact with each other. But it kind of feels like everything's just a friggin' spellcaster. And skill shots, it's like, I mean, we've never tried skill shots, and I've never really thought about skill shots that much. So me commenting on it feels a little, should be taken with a grain of salt. But skill shots seem a little, like we've already kind of got a skill shot with the fungal, and it feels very clunky to use sometimes.
But I mean,
suppose
it'd be
it was
more or
necessary.
less the same
Yeah.
thing, right? Except it just wouldn't be physically attached to the infestor anymore, so therefore, I don't know, like
It's
the
still
risk of
weird,
using it's a little
right?
bit better.
'Cause we still end
Yeah.
up coming back to like spellcasters fix everything. You know,
Yeah,
like,
it feels like we're relying on a gimmicky spellcaster type of thing.
because so
I
far,
don't-
what
I
does
don't like
Zerg
that.
do against mech? Right, the thing that I've seen, like, the best anti-mech player that I've seen is probably cats. And just bear with me for a second. You know, root cats. The way he deals with mech is probably the way. Right? He doesn't do it to the highest level, but the way he deals with it is he trades energy for anything of mech. So fungals, abducts into spores, transfuses, counterattacks with transfusions, things like that, fighting against single Vikings, some tanks here and there, some Thors, and slowly picking it apart. You've seen a lot of players, I think Pig has done it on his stream, not so much like a turtle style, but, you know, trading slowly units over time. It just feels like Zerg relies on these spellcasters so much. Is the answer more spellcasters? Why is there not like an immortal for Zerg? Maybe not to the same, you know, length.
Well, I think the Ultralisk is meant to be the immortal for Zerg, but like Ultras were always meant to be this big heavy hitter frontline unit which can like smash through front lines and stuff. But the Ultralisk, like they're too big and fat. Like they're like, I'm sorry, like not to be too like mean to them or anything, but yeah, they're really clunky, and the AI is shit, and they kind of just collapse to anything really. Like, it's hard to say. Like, to be honest, I liked ZV Mech before the Swarm Host nerf. I always thought casters did a bad job at like showing the audience where the kind of like where, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So I think casters always did a bad job at showing how intricate Swarm Host games were, because they always just saw the free units of the Locust, and they're just like, oh, it's just free units, blah 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 blah. But like at the end of the Swarm Host era, ZV Mech turned into this intricate dance of, here's the Zerg front line, here's the Terran front line, and you're kind of constantly trading back and forth with these spells. Like, you're constantly trying to abduct Ravens and Vikings, and the Vikings are constantly trying to get shots off on the Vipers. And then there's sometimes Zerg can do their own big push where they decide to go on with, like, Swarm Hosts coming in from two different angles, and you simultaneously put down Blinding Clouds, try and keep the Viking Raven ball back with fungals, and then spam your infested Terrans all over the place.
But then the side is on the Terran, right? Like, so look at it now. The Zerg ends up using all these spellcasters against the Terran to maybe deal with this death ball. When Terran got their battle cruiser, Raven, Viking, tank against Swarm, Tween Swarm Hosts, a bunch of units with Spore Crawlers. neither of them could really attack into each other. It ended up being like a chess game where it should have been a draw, because everyone kind of has played perfectly and so passively that they've both ended up with the exact, the same pieces and can't really attack into each other's position. Otherwise, they lose the game.
I mean, I've never seen chess games that are that turn into stalemates or anything like that. Like, that happens very rarely. And I felt like that happened rarely as well. Like, players were constantly stabbing at each other with the spellcasters. And, like, the two front lines kind of made it so it wasn't just one army smashes the other and then walks through. It was this constant, intricate trading of units using spellcasters. And I honestly didn't think it was that badly designed. I actually enjoyed it, like... You had options of going for big pushes or options of just playing a little bit more passively and just abducting things every now and then it becomes a game as well of who's paying attention, who's got the better mechanics, who's got the better understanding of control and stuff like that. Whereas now it's like, I don't know, the Terran just turtles and the Zerg water just washes upon the wall of Terran and gives it a nice sparkle at the end of it.
Alright, let's try to sum it up then. Post Swarm Host nerf, how do we look at CVT MECH right now? Let's start with Nama, because he had the least to say about everything.
Yeah, I think at the moment MECH is pretty strong, but I think it's just the maps and the fact that Zerg haven't worked out a way to deal with it yet.
Yeah, I think, Nama does have a point there where it's because Zerg is the reactionary race, there's always that little time period where if something new comes out, we need to figure it out first before we start beating it. I think that's always been the thing with Zerg. They need to figure things out before they start effectively fighting against it. But I think a lot of things have been tried, and nothing seems to be quite as consistent as Swarm Hosts.
Yeah. What about you, Josh? What do you think? Final thoughts?
No, I totally agree. I think that it's in a stage still where it's being sort of figured out different ways on how to open to maybe abuse potential mech openers, because the second strength to mech is a Terran player isn't necessarily always going to go mech, yeah? So a Terran player that is competent with both styles is probably the most to be feared, because they could switch it up. You can't just blindly go roaches in anticipation to do early damage and then gain a lead from that to be able to snowball and kill the mech before it's the powerhouse is up and running, out of fear of maybe he goes bio, and then all of a sudden my army just really isn't trading very well through the mid game, and then I get counter snowballed and died. So I think that's probably the hardest thing, being really on top of scouting, maybe even knowing the player a little bit more, or finding some kind of dynamic opening that allows Zerg to kind of have the best of both worlds and have as much smoother transition to deal with either composition. Everyone should just basically adopt what Dark does. Just go Ling Bane, Roach, Corruptor. And you'll have no issues. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's cool that we can sum it up. I hope you guys are right in that Zerg just needs to kind of figure it out. I'm kind of stuck on the ladder by myself, at least, when I'm going onto the ladder, especially in only in HOTS. I go against MECH, and it just kind of feels like there's no real answer. Maybe that's because no one's really, conceptually come up with the idea of how to deal with it. But let's hope that something comes out of the woodworks and we're able to deal with that turtling MECH style. Let's move on to TVP now, where Josh has to deal with all the Protoss hate from Nama, and I'm hoping Nama's got at least a point to talk about. What is your biggest tripe? Wait, is it tripe or?
Yep, tripe.
Against Terran.
Had you asked me maybe a month ago, I would have instantly said drop some widow mines and stuff, but I feel like that sort of thing has been worked out a lot recently. You see people like Classic just splitting their army perfectly and dealing with everything that Terran can throw at him. Yeah. So I feel like TVP has normalized a lot since about a month ago.
So what was it about widow mine drops that was so bad at the time? What had to be figured out?
I think Protoss just weren't used to splitting their army yet. We've never really had to do it before. We've always done Immortal All-Ins and had the big Colossus balls and all that. and then suddenly we have to split our army and defend against like 3 drops, and it's like, how do we do this? We haven't done this in 5 years. But now Protoss have finally worked out. You know, you have like a bunch of Blink Stalkers and a couple Colossi here and a few Blink Stalkers there, and you sort of got it down.
Yeah, the mine style was very popular, and I definitely agree with how it's been figured out. There was some like counter timings you would see from Protoss. It was basically like, okay, I seen the factory. I know he's going to mine drop me. I'm just going to add 2 extra gateways, go for a really fast blink. I'm going to skip Robo, skip Forge, get a pile on his side of the map. And as soon as the drop commences, I'm just going to warp in 3 extra Stalkers. And I'm going to bust the front with like 7 Blink Stalkers. And then just split my probes at home and maybe add like a delayed Forge or a delayed Robo to get the Observer out to deal with the mine drop as it happens and just rely on overcharge. And that style was really, really strong because Terran was committing a bunch of their army on the side of Protoss and basically only having like 4 Marines and a bunker at home. So dealing with the Stalkers, like that was a very difficult strategy, and some players still do it to this day, so it can be quite difficult. And now the matchup has sort of gone back into this really sort of
Passive.
macro defensive style by either player. Like the Terran player won't commit anywhere near as much in the Widow Mine drops. It will actually just be the Medivac and 2 mines. It won't be Medivac, Marines, and mines. And then now we're seeing like the resurgence of like the Ghost Viking late game with the nukes being like the cherry on top, like the only real way to sort of divide the attention of Protoss and hope to God to get some kind of damage to the infrastructure or income of Protoss to then start trading them out efficiently. So, I don't know, like TVP, it's good that it's evolving, but it feels really like you're bashing your head against a rock, and a rock that's got like barbed pieces on it that are just spiking you in the forehead constantly.
Are those
I don't know,
oracles or are those Blink Stalkers?
Oh, it's just everything. There are some Protoss that just naturally have like the greatest defense of all time. And you don't feel like you do anything. You just basically feed into them. Then they just go, oh, I've got 2 Forges. And then you hear the chrono noise, and it's like, oh, I've got 3-3. And then you watch them just sort of warp in an army because they're on like 15 gateways, and they're like, oh, I'm maxed, and it's only 14 minutes. And then you just watch them sort of push the F2 key and land like two time warps and win a battle. Blink Stalker, Colossus, sell it. That's
Well,
just...
I think the coolest thing about that factory opening with the Widow Mines is when people used to put, they'd build the 2 Widow Mines, and then they'd make 2 Hellions after the Widow Mines, and they'd have 2 Hellions, 2 Widow Mines, sorry, that was James, into the Medivac. And then they'll drop the Widow Mines, and then the Protoss is like, oh shit! I gotta pull my probes! And then they pull the probes, and they boost the Medivac, and then they drop the Hellions, and then they get the shots when they're all lined up. That was really cool, and I think I really liked that, and that, like, molded into that Hellion play as well. Instead of getting the mines, you'd get the Hellions. But do you think that was too much of a trade-off, in terms of, like, the counterattack? So if you built the Hellions, you couldn't defend against the Blink Stalker attack as well. Is that something that made that Blink Stalker attack more popular? Or is it just the fact that the entire Terran army was on the Protoss' side?
Yeah, it was more or less just a tally of units. Protoss would just delegate more resources to offensive units and just deal with the drop as it happened. Because Widow Mines have a timer. It's like, oh, I'll just lose 1 or 2 probes, but if I can break the bunker and get into the Terran production, it's game over.
Yeah.
And I have Blink, so I can just kind of blink and trade away his units and then just focus down the SCVs when possible. But like the Widow Mine Hellion drop was kind of cool until Protoss started either playing Stargate defensively after Oracle,
With a Phoenix.
or yeah, so they would open up Phoenix, so the drop just gets committed and everything gets lifted. The mines don't do any damage with some proper micro. Or the second option with defensive Blink was you would get to the mineral line and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's got 3 Stalkers, a Mothership, he's already got the Robo up. I'm dropping. Oh, the Medivac's dead. I only got 2 Hellions and a mine out. Oh, I'm trying to borrow the mine. Oh, my Hellions were just sitting there shooting at Stalkers and now they're at like 1/3 health. Oh, okay, the probes are trying to run now, try and line them up, and 2 Hellions would just tickle the probes. And then It was like, oh, I just committed all these resources, and all I really did was make him scramble for a little bit. Now that's not there, and then he starts the Colossus transition, or takes a third base because now the aggression's done. Your stim's so heavily delayed that you can't actually push out on the map. That was probably the next thing, yeah. Like with factory openings, if you didn't do damage, you were behind because your bio upgrades were so heavily like drawn back, and your bio like army value and size was so significantly smaller that contesting the third base was the next big issue.
So Nama, how did you end up figuring out this drop tactic? Did you do the Stargate defense like how Josh was talking about, or did you just kind of YOLO with Blink Stalkers?
Yeah, I did the Oracle into Phoenix stuff, Youngshik style, like you did against Mario, except better, because I actually win games. Shots. Yeah. And I made Josh a bit salty with that, so... But yeah, that was the start of, sort of solving that problem.
Yeah, Phoenixes are pretty bullshit, aren't they?
They're a bit out there, you're right.
Just fucking agree with me. Phoenixes are fucking bullshit.
They're a bit. They're in a spot where it's a bit weird because they're really easy to Okay, I'm not gonna just say that like that, but I'm just gonna put it out there that Phoenixes are relatively easy to micro when you compare them to other flying units because they can attack and move at the same time.
Yeah, well, if you bind this, if you can bind the the special command to the attack, they can actually just fire as they're shooting.
Wait, what?
And you could just keep A moving on the ground, and they'll just like fly and keep maneuvering around. There's a bind you can do. It's kind of like the rapid fire technique for Infestors. But you do it for Phoenix, so it makes your Phoenix like almost unkillable to Mutalisks and Corruptors if they have the range upgrade.
Yeah.
And it makes them just absolute bullshit versus like anything in the air, i.e. Medivacs or Vikings. Because that's the biggest thing, yeah? Like, you want to try and deal with the Colossus, but if you don't have an overwhelming number of Vikings, all of a sudden it's just like your Phoenix just shoot every Viking out of the sky, and then the Terran player is still stuck with this subpar army of, like, Bio versus Charge-Lot Colossus.
Yeah. Phoenix Colossus in general is just, like, super hard for Terran to deal with, especially if you're against the Protoss who can control their Phoenix as well.
Yeah,
like,
that presence with Phoenix is unbelievably strong. Like,
yeah,
defensive Stargate into 3 base, like Phoenix Colossus with the Oracle on the map, just kind of constantly using the reveal on the army. That was probably one of the most annoying styles.
I just remembered, like, do you guys remember that Nimbus game when, I think it was, wow, that was a long time ago. I think it was, Maru versus... Jeez, I think it was Hero, but I'm mixing up Hero and the other Hero, like Liquid Hero and the other Hero. Anyway, when the Widowmine drop was just the thing. That was the only thing that Terran did for the longest time on Nimbus, right? And you just keep dropping the back natural, and then open up Phoenix Colossus. I remember Maru just going like 2-3 factory mines instead of getting Thors. Do you think that's the right choice? Is that not the right thing to do? Because I don't see many people reacting that way. I just see people just making more Vikings. Or maybe it's Thor or 2 instead. Is that... Because the Thor kind of makes you really immobile, you know?
Yeah, the thing about mines is they're just so easily countered by good micro. Mm-hmm. If you just fly away, they do nothing.
Mines are interesting against Phoenix, right? Because you've either got to have them in the correct position, or you've got to have so many of them that the Phoenix army never wants to engage. But then it's like, it's all on the Protoss' side of things to have an observer and then just use Colossus to clear the minefield. And then all of a sudden you just realize you wasted all the money and time on things. Thors are an interesting way of dealing with it, but I think the most effective way of dealing with Phoenix Colossus is just to have unbelievable quantities of Vikings and try and get ghosts out on time to land the EMPs you need. Because if you can strip the shields off of the Phoenix, you can kite the Phoenix with your Vikings to a point where then the Colossus are exposed. that in itself is like an intricate dance, and it all depends on like what stage of the economy and how much damage the Terran took, or at what stage the Protoss took their third base. Because I could sit there and wrap that and go, yeah, that's the composition you want, but in terms of the time and how it takes Terran to get to that stage compared to Protoss, like maybe Protoss maxes out earlier in Phoenix Colossus and gets like really fast like double forge upgrades and 3 bases, because Terran committed to something early and the Protoss just took a 9-minute third base uncontested. Then Protoss will have the advantage because they'll max out easier and they'll force an issue before Terran has that composition they want.
So, about the composition
bullshit,
they want
Josh.
at the end, right? We've seen players like Maru, Byung's trying to do it as well, where they just don't get the Vikings against the Colossus. Is that things that people are trying to do now still, even though Phoenixes are getting more popular?
Against Stargate-less play, yes. Against Stargate play, I think the only Terrans that could make drop play style versus Stargate work is probably Maru. Any other decent Protoss should kill them. And Myonsik had those games. He threw them. He threw them every time. Because there's no reason why 4 Medivacs should get inside a Protoss space when he has like 15 Phoenix roaming the field with observers in place. Absolutely no reason at all. And even then, right, like, say they land, you can overcharge, warp in, and then your 15 Phoenix come in and like pick up all the Marauders, or just start killing all the Medivacs, and then you just lost an entire army. Because the real beauty about Bio is like the drop in, kill stuff, boost away, drop in, kill stuff, boost away, and then snowball that. And I think with Phoenixes, like, that style just shouldn't exist at all. Like, that's not how you play against Phoenix Colossus.
Well, that kind of summed it up.
Just play like Mario, dude.
Yeah, if you can just play perfectly like Maru, you'll be fine. I don't know why you're complaining all the time.
Yeah, dude. Haven't you seen Mario play against Protoss?
Dude,
Man, he
it's-
doesn't even build Vikings. Come on,
you don't
dude.
even- Dude, the game is so imbalanced towards Terran, you don't even need to build counter units, you just build Bio and you're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he
you
needs to go
don't
past
even-
tier 1.
Yeah.
You don't even need to react. You just build Marine Marauder Medevac and you just go.
Yeah, just
You don't
every
think.
single
That's the
game, you're
problem,
like,
Josh.
what are you
You
gonna
think too
build?
much, mate. Just go.
Triple M's, man, or sometimes quad M's, depending on how I feel.
Yeah, sometimes I like to throw in that extra M in there just for good measure, you know. We don't mind,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Then tomorrow. Easier said than done. I think in an interview he actually said that no one can copy or mimic
Yeah.
his style.
I remember that.
It's
in
because
the
it's so
interview.
unpredictable,
Felt
too.
by his-
I think it's also a thing of where, like, you can't copy someone like Mario because it is his own style. Like, learning off play, like, I said this about Life before as well, if you try, it's very difficult to learn off of them because they're their own player type of thing.
Yeah.
They define their own matchup versus specific races, and it's their understanding that you're trying to develop in, but there are so many different things that they've worked on to develop that understanding that you're just still always behind, so you would always make the incorrect decisions. Yeah, it's very difficult. I don't know. TVP is a very intricate matchup.
Yeah.
I felt like I've had a bit more success with it recently, but I don't know, there are still some things that definitely catch me. I feel like the biggest advantage Protoss has, depending on openers, is denying Scout of Terran and being able to get away with some kind of trickery. Because a lot of Protoss these days started playing with styles which are like very 1-1-1.
I'm really laughing because Nava's laughing. I don't know what he's laughing at.
That's so confused.
Rocking at the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've just gotta figure something out. Cam, I gotta ask you something.
Yeah, mate.
How do you feel right now?
Tired. Sleepy,
Tired.
you know?
Like,
Yeah.
how hot is it there right now? It must be pretty hot there. It's Australia, right?
I'm not taking my shirt off. But I will take off my jacket. Alright, that's all I'm doing.
Well, really? No hoodie? No nothing? Is that it?
Huh?
Wow,
Nah, my
that's
hair is
disappointing.
like completely stuffed right now. I'm full hermit crab at the moment.
Okay, well, there you go.
Got the hermit beard.
There's just people nagging me, and I just had to... I had to ask. Also, Josh, Operator loves you.
Yeah, I love Operator. Operator's my bae.
Well, let's move on to something that only Josh can talk about. He's just gonna sit there, talking to himself. Unless have you guys been off-racing Terran at all? Or not really? Because I've been playing a bit of Terran on the Korean server. I haven't been playing a lot of I actually have been playing a lot of TVT. Mostly TVPs, actually. Have you guys played any off-race Terran, or is it just Josh and I going to be talking about TVT?
I've played a little bit, but not enough to be too knowledgeable.
Siege tanks are really good.
Yeah.
Well, it
And
depends.
MECH is good unit.
Well, we were just talking about MECH in TVZ. If we want to talk about it in the mirror matchup, is MECH or Bio better in TVT? Because it's always been that thing ever since like Wings of Liberty Beta. Like in Brood War, it was always you go MECH. You build 10 Marines and then you go MECH. Right? There was no questions about it. In Starcraft II, the Medivacs, now especially since they've got the boost, Viking and Banshee air control works really well against tanks. What is the way to play it right now?
Yeah, TVT is in that really interesting stage of development. I don't know. I find it to be one of the most coin flippy matchups at the moment. I guess this is mostly because I don't play ZVZ, I don't play PvP. But from a mirror point of view from Terran, some openings just destroy some other openings, right? Like, if I could list all of the openings in TVT quickly, there is like a gas first Raven into like Marine tank drop. There's the one base version of that. Banshee's become very out of the meta recently. What do we see? We see a lot of gas first Widow Mine Marine drop, which kind of is like the counter to any kind of Stargate tech style. We've got Hellion openers. We've got people still trying to do Reaper expand and playing very reactively in TVT, which put them in a place where they can be very vulnerable to tank Viking timings. A lot of the mid game is contested between Raven Viking and whoever snowballs that. So that can be decided regardless of whether or not you're going mech or going bio, because we've seen even just the other night there was Sorry versus Flash.
Yeah, I watched
one
that
was
one.
going
That was really
one was
good.
going bio, one was going mech.
That was a weird game.
Flash gave up
Yeah.
air control. Sorry just sort of got into his base and landed a bunch of Vikings and put turrets everywhere, traded off a ton of stuff. And then just added Medivacs behind that. And the funny thing was, because he did that, because he destroyed the air army of Flashes, he forced Flash in a position where he couldn't just transition into going for the mass Medivac style, and then you just load up all your Hellbats in it, and you can kind of just boost after the bio army and drop Hellbats on it. And that gave Sorry the advantage to be able to max out earlier and then start contesting the map. Whereas Flash would ideally rather like to have something like 6 to 8 Medivacs with Hellbats in it, so that
See,
anytime
since-
the bio player pushed, he would just boost Medivacs and kill it, right?
Kill everything on top. See,
Yeah.
I watched that same game, and I was kind of confused. Like, I understand TVT to a certain point, but I felt at some point Flash just kind of stabilized. And it got to the point when he's taking his 4th base, where he didn't have the air army that he wanted, but he had his army in his position in that pocket 4th, and then the 3rd base had a couple tanks with reinforcements, and then Sorry kind of got lucky with his engagement in the middle. Do you remember where he dropped the 3rd base on Coda? Okay, did you guys watch the game, Nama?
Yeah, I watched.
Cam?
No.
So what effectively was on Coda, Flash is at the bottom, Sorry had this is how the game ended. Sorry had a little small bio force, I think it was 3 Medivacs full, dropping at the 3rd in the bottom left-hand corner, not the pocket 3rd, attacking the orbital command there, while the mech army for Flash was at the 4th base, at the pocket base. And as a response, Flash went into the middle, where the watchtower is, and we just saw Sorry drop the main, kill the 3rd, go into the natural, and take a really good fight in the middle near the watchtower. When I was watching that game, Josh, I felt like MECH was able to stabilize. Why do you disagree? Do you think he was already way too far behind? What's the reasons there?
I wouldn't say he was behind, but he lacked the investment in units that he'd wanted at that particular part of the game.
Which are what?
Medivacs. And it all results back from him losing air control. If he's stabilized air control, then he can get Medivacs out earlier. Any kind of bio push from that becomes committed. So any bio push that Sorry does, then just, if it doesn't do critical damage, it just gets chased by medivacs with Hellbats in them. And then you just drop the Hellbats, and then the bio army's dead, and then the bio player has to invest resources in remaking the bio army before they can transition. Because it's all about the transition. It's all about the bio player getting enough tanks to stabilize a position and getting up enough resources or enough bases to start an air switch of their own to contest the mech army's air switch. So the mantle is really on the mech player to either stabilize or use medivacs for counter harass, so dropping blue flame hellbats into mineral lines, etc., or using a sort of a contested air army to have the hellbats accessible to then just boost and kill any bio army that comes near them. So I think it was all down to that one move there. Like, Flash wasn't banking on the bio player not making medivacs. Like, Sorry just completely skipped them and made like 10 Vikings with his first Raven, and Flash had like 4 Vikings and a Raven and just got completely dominated in the air. If that hadn't have happened, the entire match, I feel, would have looked completely different. But that's one of the coin flips that I don't like about TVT, because I've died to this before a few times as well, where you don't really get a feel for how many Vikings the other Terran player is making, and then all of a sudden you're stuck in this really awkward position when you're like, oh, you know, he should have cut at like 4, maybe 6. Why does he have 10 Vikings all of a sudden?
He does a Sky Terran transition instantly or something like that. Banshees.
Yeah, Banshees have been another thing where they add a second starport, and they don't even worry about the bio army, they're just making Banshee Viking. So then your first mech push out, or if you're going to play like an aggressive style, just kind of gets met with like 6 Banshees and you just get chased home and they lose everything. And then the bio player just reinforces with medivacs and bio. You can't get a 4th up. It's rather interesting, but it's very difficult to kind of judge, because a reactor and a starport doesn't mean he's going medivacs, it doesn't mean he's not going Vikings. So it's either you're scanning constantly, or maybe using Hellion harass, or I don't know, like sometimes players bank all their Vikings in the corner of their base out of most scanned vision. It's difficult.
So which position's harder then, at the end of the day?
I would say being the bio player is harder.
On terms
For
of
sure.
mechanics, speed, just everything across the board, or just what parts of it is exceptionally difficult?
There's more strategy involved in picking apart the mech player in most times. If they're much slower and more methodical, the strategy involved in dealing with mech, like you want to attack with as much surface area as possible, as well as boosting medivacs over the top. Other things might be trying to pull his army out of position with like an army on one side and have another army stem in from another side, and then try and get a base snipe, really try and slow them down from getting a 3rd base. There are strategies which involve trying to get tanks up much earlier and then creating some kind of contain to make the mech player attack into you before 3 bases to kind of trade out more efficiently. There are a few ways of dealing with it. Some mech players might argue that the bio player has the advantage, and maybe through the beginning of the game they do, because mech players are generally heavily relying on Hellions at the start, so they're very susceptible to tank timings. It's hard to say, but I feel like as the bio player, it's like the mantle is on you. Like a good mech player is very difficult to beat as a bio player. Like the turret rings, sensor towers, tanks, a much more slower and methodical style is much harder to beat than just kind of attacking all the time and trying to find damage. Because you effectively become your own worst enemy. Your decisions could be either brilliant or they could be utterly like disgraceful and just make you fall terribly behind.
I think I want to agree with that, especially because when you look at how the bio works in TVP and TVZ, it's always been like, take a cost-efficient engagement, constantly trading with units, dropping here, dropping there, always taking like nice fights the entire game. And against mech, like you were saying, it takes a lot of strategy to break a mech player. There's a lot of positioning of where the tanks are going to be, where the Vikings are. There's huge turret rings that you have to deal with. I think Bio's in a tough position against mech than in the other matchups, actually, because Terran mech just has so many ways to deal with it. Bio can fit its way in, it can drop here and there, but just the way that mech plays are just so set on shutting down all these drops. And I think I agree with a lot of the points you were making as well.
No, I don't really have anything else really further to add to
Yeah,
that.
TVT is a bit hard because it's a mirror matchup, so I guess we will just, since it's 11 o'clock for me, we can just quickly answer some questions from the chat. We've got 4 already. Let's see if we can get any more questions. The first question comes from James, saying, why am I such a casual and haven't added the stream to Starcraft 2C? Do you guys know how to add it to Starcraft 2C? You have to have a certain amount of posts and then you request it, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm one. I think it's 10
Yeah.
posts and I'm on 9. So there's the reason to that one.
Well,
Just sign up for
Rip.
Seacraft Weekly and don't turn up, mate. You'll be good.
Oh, perfect. That sounds good. I think a lot
like
of
every
people
C
do that.
player ever.
What? Nah, Andrew,
Yeah.
your hair looks wonderful, and Naggers wants to know what shampoo and conditioner do you use?
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe
I
it's
mean-
me. But
I rarely use any, so
Alright,
It's-
you heard it here,
Well,
guys.
what's your
It's
method though? Do you,
normal, natural oils.
this is
It's all
literally
got to
natural,
do with-
like,
like
It's
what's your
100%
method? Is it like, do you
natural.
do the whole like double shampoo and then wash it with conditioner, or do you have like a separate product where it's like, oh, you wash it with shampoo in the shower, but then you like have another like conditioner thing? Like, what's your secret? Tell us.
It's just the low
Um,
octaves in his voice mixed with the compression of the shower. The vibration of his voice allows for
Yeah.
the hair to stimulate and grow
All the
naturally.
bacteria just fall out of his hair. Just.
that's pretty much it.
Just in the shower saying,
I should have guessed. I do bio, so I
Deco.
should know this. I'm pretty much studying this shit. My bad. Christ. Alright.
It's pretty
The
hard.
next question is, how many bailings do I need to crush MECH?
Infinite.
Infinite number of bailings. I
Nesty
mean,
amount of
I think
bailings.
it'll be a finite number, because I saw Nesty beat Thor's with bailings.
Yeah.
Do you guys
That
remember?
is all the way back. Way
Oh my
back.
All the way back in 2011.
No one knew what they were doing. Even
Belshire
the Korean.
Beach, wasn't it? That was the name? Belshire Beach.
Best T knew
Yeah,
what he
Bill
was
should be.
doing.
Nesty
He
was
created
knew
universe.
exactly what he was doing, man.
He killed Thor, like
Exactly.
Thor's just banelings, and it was like, oh.
It was the greatest thing ever. I can just remember Artos' voice going off, Nasty!
And the passion was alive.
Yeah, that was before they switched to Cardstone.
God, Stone. I thought it was Passion
Yeah.
Stone.
It's Hero's Stone now. Hero's
Okay,
Passion.
the next question I think is directed at Josh. How can I effectively use super scans to intimidate my opponents?
Super scans.
Yeah, I think he means
You're talking
like, when
about
you do,
like
like
where you-
20 scans on one spot, and it kind of.
I mean, you could probably drop a nuke and then scan the fuck out of it until the nuke drops. That'd be kind of cool. Just
Dude,
be
I'd
like,
be
which
scared,
one of your
man. If that
bases am I
happened, I'd be
nuking
scared
now?
It's like, this is where it is, motherfucker! Don't go into this spot right here! I'll fuck you up if you go anywhere near this spot, okay?
You just can't do it in Fog of War, because even if you're scanning in Fog of War, they'll still see the red dot.
It just,
Yeah,
it's-
they'll
it's a-
see the big yellow circle first, and then they'll probably be like, yeah, the nuke's in there somewhere.
Or you can, trick them and be like, the nuke's over there!
It doesn't
No,
matter.
it's-
Like in Fog of War, the red dot from a nuke always shows up.
Really?
So if I was to
Oh,
nuke randomly in
wow.
the center of the map and you look there, through Fog of War, you would see the red dot.
Oh.
Well, I kind
That's
of
like that's a Jack Attack level fact there. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
That
I'm
was
going to
excellent.
disagree with the best way to use super scans. Because I think the best way to use super scans is to make sure your opponent is playing on ultra quality. And then also make sure that your opponent's epileptic. And make sure you super scan right in front of his army. And then you A move and you're pretty sorted. Just make sure they're having a fit and you're fucking right in there. You'll destroy them.
Or you could have enough orbitals that you could transition into like 12 siege tanks and just keep scanning on top of your siege tanks and crawling them across the map so he doesn't know what's underneath the scan.
You could.
Or you could do the
Too
same thing
bright,
with your
yeah.
too. What's underneath of that? Oh, why'd my hatchery just explode?
Alright, so the next question is, if I off-race, I guess this is directed towards Andrew. If I off-race, so I'm playing Protoss, how many cannons should I build in my enemy's base? So probably when you're doing a cannon rush, At what point do you stop building cannons?
You never stop. You just keep going.
You keep going? So
If you have a wall around their entire base, you can never lose.
Do you stop at 16 probes or 10 probes?
Like
Depends on the
16,
levels
17.
of cancer you want to provide, I guess.
Like, what are we talking about? Leukemia, prostate? Like, it really depends what you want.
Yeah, where do you want to target? You need to be very specific. Are we going for the jugular, or is this some kind
I think
of
it's
like
probably going to be
longitudinal out?
colorectal at this point. Like, I can't think of any other cancer that's that smelly and dirty. Anyway, the next question comes from Nagos again. I guess it's towards Cam and Josh. Do you feel that roaches are too weak in ZVT? Haha, says Josh. Do you think they should be buffed as Terran is so overpowered? What do you think, Cam?
I don't think it's the mid game that's the problem, it's the late game that's the problem in CVMech. I don't really go for Roach Hydra pushes or Roach pushes, like I suppose Roach drops and Roach Queen Nidus, like they have their moments in the spotlight, but you should just like, the bottom line is just going Roach Hydra Viper, I reckon. Like that's the bottom line going against mech. At least for me it is anyway.
But you, Josh? You hate roaches? You like roaches?
I
You
hate roaches.
you hate
They're
roaches?
definitely not underpowered. Terran definitely isn't overpowered, but roaches, they have a unique place in the game between fuck you and I hate my life. Yeah, roach players are just dirty. Just stick to Lingbane Muta and you'll be alright.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sure.
You heard it here first.
Because Banelings are great against tanks and
Bailey's are
banshees.
great against mech. We just learned about how good Bailey's against
True.
mech, so we know. Next question is, I guess towards Nama, and I guess oracles affect everybody. When will Blizzard fix the bug which allows Oracle to delete units rapidly? I'm not sure. Okay, let's look at it in a more serious manner. Do you think the Oracle as it is, being so, quick to kill workers is a nice spot? Is it too unforgiving? Because that's a thing that's also been brought up in Legacy of the Void. There's a lot of things that are unforgiving in Starcraft II. Would you guys agree?
It's just
There's a
the
lot
game.
of like hard counter things going on, like more compared to Brood War. Whereas like if you just like if you don't build a 75 mineral spore crawler, you like lose the game against Protoss, for example.
Yeah, that's very true. There are a lot more hard counters in StarCraft 2, and I think that was just part of the game design. Like Brood War was more identified through micro and unit interaction
The mechanics
and how they flew. Yeah, so when you simplify the mechanics of the game, then they're saying, oh, it's more about the strategy. But then the strategy is very one-dimensional, where it was always listed as like these are the hard counters. So unit compositions didn't interact anywhere near as forgiving, I guess is probably the better word of doing it, as they did in Brood War. That being said, though, you could look at a Brood War game and go, any mech player would like easily have like a 45-minute game, regardless of the matchup, because like tank pushing was so much slower and methodical, turrets, vulture minefields everywhere and things like that. And then people complain about like a 30-minute mech game in StarCraft 2 and like, oh, it's just not that what it is. Like they have this certain expectation that the game needs to be fast and fluid, otherwise it's boring. But they don't actually realize the complexity about it. So that's one thing that kind of really like pisses me off when people are like, StarCraft 2 is boring. It's just the same stuff. Oh, it's a 30-minute game. Oh, they're not appreciating the complexity of it.
I mean, at least we got different maps every season. Like, how long has League of Legends had Summoner's Rift for now? Like, 1 to 5 years.
I mean, they have different heroes. That's how they change their thing. They can't really balance a new map. It'll change way too many things. The same way we shouldn't be removing mules, but that's another point for another episode. Another question we have here is, do you think Terran should be removed since players like Joshua Bitch can take games of literal gods like Legionnaire? So what he is effectively saying, I think, is, do you think mech is in a place where mech players are winning games they shouldn't?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. I think it's in a place where it's more or less, it's just about other players figuring it out. Mech should always been a viable strategy in StarCraft 2. to go back and reference Avillo, it's just a matter of the other races having enough experience against this composition and then learning how to deal with it better. Whereas
Are you
Bio
referencing
was so
Avillo?
dominant.
Why are you referencing a village? No.
Stop, man. You
Just
can get
no.
more views. Like, come on.
Oh.
Follow me at Liquid Rat.
I mean, I don't
So-
care. I have Immortal.
I think Mech is in an overpowered spot. I think it's too strong.
I'm
But as a reason
kind
of
of
terror-
in the same idea as well. I
Like,
think that...
if-
yeah, carry on, Cam, sorry.
No, it's alright. If it wasn't so strong, like every Terran wouldn't be just suddenly switching to Mech.
The maps
So-
help. A big
Yeah,
thing
the maps
too.
definitely help. I agree with that. The biggest gripe with me against Meg is the fact that I'm watching right now. I'm watching TY versus Rogue right now. Rogue had a 15k, 12k bank, and the Terran only just maxed out, and the Zerg has now thrown 4 different compositions of mech Zerg armies into the Terran, and just has not traded cost efficiently whatsoever at all. Lost his entire army for a few Vikings and things. I think the biggest thing is just the fact that you just can't kill Terran units, so the Terran units just slowly gain more and more value over time, so you don't have to mine as much in the late game.
Well, maybe Zerg shouldn't be trying to focus so much on dealing the composition and more or less just forcing Terra never to get anything more than 4 bases.
Yeah,
But how do you do that?
I mean,
without attacking?
it's
How do you do
no,
that?
I mean,
without
like,
unlocking position?
they come off the wrong way.
I really did, because I heard fucking Terrans bitching about that for fucking months against Protoss, and now Terrans are saying that against Zerg. It's like, wow, okay, that's cool.
I mean, like, it still stands though against in TVP. You really don't want Protoss getting any more than 4 bases, or you're kind of fucked.
Wow, I think Rogue just won.
If
Nice.
he wins, there's so many Vikings. If he wins this, I'll
Dude,
be
look
very
at the
upset.
bank, though. Oh, I actually just ran out. Never mind. He
Rip.
maxed on Corruptors, and now he's only got enough for, like, half an army. Anyway, let's go on to the next question. Is it worth doing pure Roach against Mech, or is
No.
it better to wait for the Hydras for stronger 1-1 or 2-2 timing with Roach Hydra?
Just
No, you
go
don't-
Roach Hydra Viper.
Yeah, you
Viper.
can't
Skip the
just go
Roach.
roaches. You can't just go roaches. You'll just get wrecked.
Like
Well,
Roaches.
I've had a good
there's-
run.
There's I mean, there's Muta-Roach builds,
Yeah.
but they haven't been seen that much around anymore. I think Terrans have kind of learned how to deal with it. But I reckon, like, just go, if you're going to go Roach Hydra, you might as well just go Roach Hydra Viper for the Blinding Clouds. And then you can keep the Vipers alive, and then you've still got Vipers after you've traded the Roach Hydra.
Hmm.
But that's only if you've
Then the
got six.
Vikings are already out. I don't know, it's a weird position, because you always end up opening Mutas before you find out it's Mech. You know what I mean? Especially with the Lair first builds against Banshees.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at this game now between TY and Rogue, you could probably say that, yeah, it's
I think
probably a
Rogue
good
won.
bet that Rogue's going to win this.
Yeah. Just because he's just got so many Corruptors, he's losing them, but he just doesn't care.
Yeah, they're pretty beefy.
Alright, next question. We'll go straight to the next one, so we don't end up talking about Rogue and TY, because this game was going to last longer than the show.
Yep.
How sexy is that Redemption guy? Do you guys know Echo Redemption?
I do.
I
I met him
think-
at ACL.
Yeah, I think he's got some nice natural tone. I think if he put on some mass, he'd be a pretty good looking bloke. Yeah.
Looks after his hair very well.
Yeah, his hair's great. Like, I managed to cop a whiff of his hair as I walked past him at ACL. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, right, whatever. Strange.
Come on, Josh.
Set
Well,
this
it's
weird
just
image of
like
you standing over like this 5'5" Asian, just you stay clean, boy.
You would have lost
you
that
after
five.
Alright, the next question comes from Nagas again. Is it true that Josh, you identify as gender fluid?
Right. I don't think so, mate. I like women.
He doesn't know.
That's
He'll
not
tell
what
you
gender
tomorrow.
means, dude. Okay, we need a SJW to explain what gender fluidity means. It means you switch between being a woman and
Oh,
male.
Christ, yeah, no, that definitely doesn't happen.
Are you 100% woman then?
I was waiting for that. Like, the setup for that was just so obvious.
I would rather be 100% something than 50% something else.
Okay, so you want to be, full D-bag instead of half-ass.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. This is from Pros Ear. Are you reading questions from fans or your own made questions? We actually haven't been reading these from the chat at all. If you scroll up, you'll notice that I haven't been reading any of the questions. Another question is, who is your favorite pro gamer and why is it a Velo, guys?
Just makes for the
It's not a
best
villain.
controversy.
Controversy? Yeah, I can
It's trying
understand
to
the drama.
it's trying to save esports.
Oh god, I hate it so.
I don't even want to joke about it, really. Like,
It's kind of like he can do whatever he wants on his stream. Like, he streams his stream, and if he wants to go there and whinge all day and do whatever. But when he goes into, like, official matches and shit like that,
Yeah.
and, like, you remember his games versus Huck, where he's like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like,
when
this
they
is
switched,
embarrassing.
when they switched races, yeah.
No, not even that. When they were playing in, like, WCS or something,
right.
and Huck, like, he did this weird build against Huck, or Huck proxied a Nexus against him. And then, like,
with
he
the
decides to
overcharge,
pull his
yeah.
whole army and SCVs to do, like, a one-base push, and then Huck just force fields the ramp.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this is embarrassing, not for you or for me, but for StarCraft. And it's like, you're doing this now in, like, an official match? Like, that's a joke. Like,
Yeah.
grow up a bit,
It's
eh?
part of the game, man. You've got to, as part of a strategist, you've got to figure out what the next move of your opponent is. And if it's as simple as getting a sentry to hold your shitty one base all in, then you are your own
I know,
worst
like-
enemy.
Yeah, and, like, what was his one base all in? Like, SCV, he just pulled SCVs and Marines without stim combat shields or anything. It was just, like, this weird half-assed build. I was just like,
Yeah.
mm,
Doesn't
is
matter.
this?
Anyone in the competitive scene knows that Avilo is like terrible.
He's
Yeah.
just, I think his playstyle, if we're going to talk about him seriously, at least for like a couple seconds, the playstyle that he does works really well in a best of one setting, or if you don't know it's him, right? As soon as you go, oh shit, it's a Velo, like you just go, alright, I'm just going to do this build and just crush him, right? Just, it's not even close because of how MECH plays with the snowballing and stuff like that.
mm.
yeah, he just plays really defensive. Like, you can just go, like, you could probably go, like, 3-hatch before pulling against him if you wanted to. I don't know, it's been a long time since I've played against a Vilo. Don't play on NA anymore. Hashtag MMR reset.
Another question we have here is coming from
Proza.
Dude, I'm purposely saying his name wrong. Can you just make
It's-
sense? Okay?
It's actually
Where's
pronounced...
there?
Trust the 3R.
Yeah, it's
Plus
actually
3R.
pronounced...
Any personal thoughts on who you think will dominate the upcoming C Team League?
I mean, it's really about which team has the best counter
It
Zerg,
depends.
right?
It depends.
I
if
think
it's
whoever
casting or
picks
not.
up Betrayus is probably going to win.
If
if
Pig's not
he's-
casting, will win. If he's casting and he's like too busy casting, I don't know. I mean, who have we got in the teams? I think Silicon and Frey are going to be big contenders.
Hold on, is Betrayus still playing, or is he not in it at all?
Is he?
He's
I
not
think he's retiring
serious.
after WCS.
Oh yeah, because he's
Yeah.
like really close to me right now, so it's kind of weird. I thought he was still doing like semi-pro stuff in the C scene.
He said he was doing it part time, wasn't he? Which
Yeah.
means going to
Retiring.
do my best to go through.
I
Sigma
highly
Fear.
doubt he's gonna keep going if he started university.
Mm.
He can't go over to Europe again.
Well,
Yeah.
he'll never reach the heights as where he is, right? But he'll still be a very strong player as a whole.
Uh-huh.
So, like, that
know, I
skill
felt-
doesn't really go away. We can sit there and look at examples like King Kong, right? Like, he has a week to prepare, and he comes back and still can make, like, top 4 in ACL. Players like Betrayus would be very much the same, right? Like, he'll still play StarCraft, it just won't be anywhere near as serious.
I feel like
Yeah.
Betrayus was 100% work ethic. Like, Betrayus always had his skill because he was such a hard worker, and I feel like he's going to diminish as a player because
He's not doing it.
he's
all
not
the time.
working as
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. Like, he'll probably maintain, like, he's probably going to easily maintain KRGM or something like that, and he'll probably still be a big contender in the C scene. Like, the C scene isn't massively stacked. Like, we've got, like, the full proper pros, like Pig, Igers, used to be Petrius and stuff like that, and then we've got, like, the guys, like, a little bit below that. but it's difficult to say. I think his skill. I don't think he'll be able to compete on the world stage like he used to be able to.
I mean, just
Yeah.
in terms of like distance, he's gonna be so far away.
And I've also heard that his practice, apparently his net's like completely stuffed at the moment. Apparently he can barely practice on KR. So
He's probably just used to the EU.
It's probably
latency.
why I see him on NA so much now. And
Yeah.
that server as a whole will not really
yeah, I don't think
him,
like
like
I
force
don't
him to
like
get
Hose
better.
you, doesn't it?
yeah, I don't think NA is a good practice environment even for Petraeus, even if he is going part time, because like look at Pig, like he just like streams on top 16 NA GM, like he doesn't even care. And like once you get to the top like that, like the practice kind of becomes inefficient because you're just playing the same people over and over and over again.
You're right.
Like you're not running into new builds and new experiences and stuff like that. It's just the same stuff over and over.
Hmm.
And NAGM isn't as good as KRGM either. Like,
Which we
Yes,
already
let's
went
be
over and we
honest.
talked about as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be honest, it's nowhere near a comparison.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. I haven't got any more questions here. I think we should be able to wrap this up here at exactly Christ, like 2.5 hours after we started, including our 5-minute break. Any last words to say before we head off here? Nama?
It's just gonna be the mech
It's
sign,
gonna
isn't
be
it?
the hashtag Meg.
Yeah.
If only we had like a Sharpie or something so we could actually fucking see what
Yeah.
we wrote.
It needs to be
prepare
more
one.
defined,
Can you
mate.
just hold on? We'll wait for you to get a Sharpie. Because it went.
Oh, yes.
Does it work?
Yes.
You all just like.
What the hell is happening?
Boy,
It's a
Nama.
pretty noisy pen.
No, it's not even the pen. It was all the static.
It's just 'cause Mike was like, I'm gonna get
It was-
really loud now, and then I'm gonna go.
the mic
The
was
only
like,
thing
I'm
he
gonna
has to do
capture
is like
all the
smack.
sound.
He just has to hit his microphone and it's all gone.
It's definitely an odd thing to have happen.
Is it still offline? Can you guys load it up?
It's still
Or no?
offline for me.
That's really weird because it says I'm streaming on my thing. Unless I'm streaming on like another channel for some weird ass reason. I don't understand why it would be.
Oh, well, the show's over anyway. Maybe we just say our goodbyes in chat.
I don't want to do that.
Anyway, guys, bye.
See you guys. Bye bye. That's how to end it. See you later.
It's the best way.
Oh goodness! Please no spammerino. I'll add revenue. Oh, this is so sad. I thought it would be all good, but
Oh,
I
wait.
don't
Oh,
know.
I see it coming back.
It just
Oh,
went
coming
like
back. We're here. We're live.
it just went randomly like not responding, and I turned it off and on. Anyway, there we go. Nama is redoing his mech sign.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
So screenshot that, James. Hold on, everyone look really unimpressed. Alright, we're good. Josh, you were in the middle of saying your goodbyes.
Yeah, I just cheer for me, and I hope to show good games.
You stole mine.
Dude, that's such a Korean thing to say,
Oh.
too.
Right.
It's like, hey guys, hi guys. I'm really happy for everyone that's my fan, and I really want to show good games for you guys, and support me in all of my games overseas in Pro League. Thank you very much. Bye. That's all they fucking say, all the goddamn time. Why can't they say like, hey, anyone who has to play me, I cry for them when I go to bed. Before I go to bed, I pray. I kneel next to my bed and pray.
You're right. I really can't wait to see the Japanese players start getting on the main stage, and when they fail and dishonor their family.
Just,
Oh.
Ugh.
I
Yeah.
failed you.
Anything else to say, man? Or was Cam
Josh?
dead? No,
Me?
Cam's
Oh, I
injured.
thought you said Josh. What else you got to say? Okay. Yeah, just eat clean and trend hard. That's all I got to say, guys. Stick
What's
to it.
Glenn, by the way?
Steroids.
Oh,
Oh, never mind.
Well, I should have
Sure,
said
Trans
that.
steroid as well.
Well, on behalf of me, thanks guys for tuning in. I'm really happy that these guys didn't say bullshit too much, because I only drank like this 4 or 5 times in the end, which was
Bullshit.
Great. Okay, I
said-
may as well.
I
You said
said
it like 20 times, but I'm not counting you just fucking looping it that many times. Anyway, thank you Exile5 for you know, giving the idea and making this all happen. It's all good, really fun. Thank you MECH for giving us something to complain about for 2 hours straight almost on every single map and how bullshit it is. Fucking A. I'm not even planning on doing. Okay. And thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next fortnight, because I don't think next week anything will really change. Right? You guys agree?
Probably not.
Fortnite is probably a good. I think
Yeah,
fortnightly
it gives
is
us
probably
enough
better.
time to create content and all the rest of that.
Yeah. Otherwise, tomorrow, like next week, we're just gonna be like, "Hey, it's Mick again, guys." Next fortnight, actually, we're going to be talking about the macro changes that are proposed, which by then should be implemented into Legacy of the Void, because this has been our last, well, the start and our last Heart of the Swarm look, because we don't think the metagame should change too much. All of the updates are in Legacy of the Void. We're going to be talking about the removal of injects, Chrono Boost, have you guys read about that yet? And mules, things like that. And we're also going to be whining a lot about Zerg and Protoss. So we'll see you guys later. Bye bye from everyone here. And we'll see you next week.
mates.
Here, get some.